Hold on. There we go. Boom. There we go. Hi, everybody. Okay. Wait. We're not exactly ready. Check one, check one, check one. Making sure my microphone is okay. I'm not sure it is. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. Hi, Dustin. Dustin's here. Yeah. Okay. This is going to be it. Just let me know in the chat room if you think the microphone sounds a little hot today. Welcome into the High Noon Rant. I'm Pugs Moran. We do this every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's high noon. This isn't a drug show. Had somebody say that to me again today. I told you I hate when people do that, and it just bothers me so much. I was at the lake. They're like, "Oh yeah, so what is that? Is that like a weed show?" I'm like, no. High noon. It's more Gary Cooper than hippie. Anyway, welcome to the High Noon Show. It goes off typically right around high noon. God, there's no such thing as right around high noon. Look at me. This is gonna be this kind of day. I'm gonna chase rabbits. I'm gonna chase thought rabbits down every dark alley today. There is no vicinity of high noon. High noon is a very specific term that means exactly 12. High noon, exactly. So we don't start the show at high noon either. I should change the name. The Rant. Maybe that's what we start calling it. The Rant with Pugs Moran. Sometime in the 12 o'clock hour. Usually in the first 10 minutes of the 12 o'clock hour. Hi, everybody. How are you? I told you, we do this show every Monday through Friday. It's a rundown of hot topics, headlines, current events, whatever it is that people are talking about. It is my attempt to get you all briefed up on everything that you need to know about this particular day. We do the show in 4 quarters. The first quarter, we call that antecedently on this day. That's this day in history. I just gave it a different name. The second quarter is birthdays. We know what that is. Third quarter is deads. We look at people who died on this day, and then we decide where'd they go, heaven or hell. Fourth quarter, that's the biggest part of the show. That's probably, the whole show will run about 2 hours from beginning to end. I'd say the fourth quarter is going to be easily over an hour and 15 minutes or so of that. So that's it. That's how we do the show. I perform this show. I give you all that information using a stream of consciousness style where I just start talking and I don't stop. And whatever is my next thought, it comes out regardless. I'm not scared. How is everybody? Rob's here. Hiya, Rob. I'm a marketing nightmare. I sure am. Sure am. All kinds of marketing. I'm all kinds of nightmares. Hi, Peter. Peter's here. He's our guy. Barney's here. Barney's my guy. Byron's here. Byron sent me, guys. Okay, so here's something. I've said it before, but I don't say it enough because I just ignore it all. If you're sending me stuff on Facebook, there's like a way better than probable chance that I'm not going to see like Facebook instant messages. And here's why. Facebook on my phone, I got to have a separate app just for the messages. And I don't. But for some reason, the phone tells me, like, you got a message. Want to see what it is? And I'm like, yeah, I want to see what it is. And then I hit it, and they're like, download the app. And I'm like, oh, fuck you. I don't care. Nobody is contacting me on Facebook with anything that's that important. So typically Twitter, because Twitter's all in one app. Some of you want to send me a direct message, you do it on Twitter. I get it on my phone. I get it anywhere. But I saw that Byron sent me some stuff on Facebook that I couldn't really see it. They look to be videos of some sort. See, here's the thing. I got to use my laptop, and the only time I use my laptop is when I'm sitting here. So maybe during showtime would be a good time if you want to try and contact me on Facebook. But how about we just don't do that? Just don't contact me on Facebook is what I'm saying. Or like I said, there's a chance I might answer, but it also might be like 6 weeks later. Like I do that from time to time. I'll go and I'll just look and see all the messages on Facebook that I missed. And it'll be like, oh, from 82 weeks ago. I'm like, oh, cool. I should respond to this one now. No, I cannot make your party on Friday of 2 years ago. How was your weekend, everybody? Before we get started, I like to get moving. I like to get a little bit of juices flowing. How was the weekend? Was the weekend? Smee's here. Hi, Smee. April's here. April. Oh, let's do this before we get started. We just came through. Oh God, Jesus, we just came through another pledge week, and we made it. We made it. Thank you, folks. We made it. I hope nobody was hurt during the process, but thank you so much, and thank you to a bunch of people who came in on Friday. Like just bing, bing. I looked after the show and I was like, okay, we made it. Beautiful. Thank you to all those people, and you should all be thanked. But first, I do want to thank one person in particular who got us over like multiple times. She's like, how much more you need? That is today's executive producer, the lovely Christina P. Multiple. I kept looking and it's like, oh my God, she donated again. That is just, that's the kind of, I don't know what to say to that kind of sport. I don't know what to say to the kind of sport I get from Joel, who's another person who got in, and Chuckles, who got in there. Peter, I'm sure. I don't want to see. This is why I don't like to get into naming names specifically, because I'm going to leave somebody off, because so many of you are so kind. So thank you. So we made it, and we're good. And Christina P is today's executive producer, and all of you did it together for me, which is crazy. That's just crazy to think of. But if you do want to help out the show, maybe you're new, you're dropping by, you're like, hey, I like this show. I'll throw a little something in to get me rolling. Boom, drop something in the Venmo or the Cash App. That's how this show runs, and it has for 3 years now. Your tips keep this thing going. So thank you so much. The weekend. Let's talk about the weekend. So on Saturday, we went out to the lake. We went out to Lake Louisville. Nobody drowned. Of course, we go out to Lake Louisville. We are guests of Captain E. Some of you remember E from the old nighttime show. He is a gentleman of leisure. Actually, that's not true. He is a manic entrepreneur who's like constantly got a bunch of different businesses going, which is good for a guy like me, because at some point I'm going to need to slide into one of those and just have a job, so that's good. Anyway, E, who is one of my oldest friends around these parts, one of two in this area who I consider to be brothers. The other I don't get to see very much, but that's okay. That's a problem that I have to get through. Anyway, he's got a boat, he's got jet skis, he's got a dock, he's got everything out there at Lake Louisville. It's a whole thing. He's like the mayor of Lake Louisville. Like everybody knows him. So, his little dock area becomes like the party area for everybody. It's just a wonderful, wonderful scene. And he's the greatest master of ceremonies. And he's just so gracious to everybody out there all the time. Broke his ankle like 2 weeks ago. Just went to the doctor 2 days ago. Walking around on a broken ankle for like 2 weeks. He's like, yeah, whatever. I got stuff to do. I got businesses to run. Man. So he and his lovely wife, they hosted me and the boy and a number of other people out there on the boat on Saturday, a hot one out there on Lake Louisville. Ooh! Nobody died in Party Cove this weekend, which is good, because the previous 2 weekends there had been 2 deaths. We had not been out there for those. People die when Captain E is not on the scene, is what you can draw from that. Nobody died, but I got to tell you, man. So my kid's 15 years old now. My kid's 15 years old, and he's bigger than me. He's about my height, but he's bigger than me. And he hasn't even filled out with the man thickness. You know how like at some point, like around 18, between 18 and 24, dudes just get thick. All of a sudden they just turn into like men. Like they go from like having boy physiques to like, just being thicker like men. And some people do it early. Like you'll have dudes who are sophomores in high school who are they're the ones who buy beer. You send them in to buy beer. My son, he's not fully thick yet. He's not fully adult male thick, but he's bigger than me. He's barrel chested and his shoulders are bigger than me. And he's way stronger than me. He's a big, strong, dumb kid. And I'm an old, frail man. But he's 15. And, he's allowed now by law for the last 2 seasons to go out on the jet skis by himself. If he just wants, he's like, you adults are being lame. I'm going to take the jet. He is allowed now by law. The powers that be here in the state have deemed it appropriate and legal. So now he does that from time to time. So we'll be out on the lake. And he'll be like, Dad, I'm going to go jump some waves. And I'll be like, okay. And then I'll just watch him go off. My only kid, I'll watch him go off into the like disappearing under the horizon. I hate it. I sit in that boat. I mean, you can ask anybody who's in that boat. They're like, are you okay? I'm like, I can't see him anymore. I need to bring binoculars. The next time we come out of here, somebody's got to bring binoculars. Got to be able to see these damn kids. He's responsible. He never lets me down. He's smart. Here's the other thing. So this Saturday was the first time that we allowed him out there on there's like 2 jet skis. One of the jet skis that he's got is basically like the Rolls Royce of jet skis, right? It's multiple people. It's big. It's powerful. It's like the other jet ski that he's got is like the Lamborghini of jet skis. And that Lamborghini of jet skis is quite possibly the fastest jet ski out on that lake, other than a couple of dudes who we know are actual jet ski racers. They're things. I've seen them. Those guys are. Anyway, we're talking powerful, fast machines. The kid has earned it for years and years. He wasn't allowed to go anywhere near that fast jet ski, but now he can ride the Purple Demon. That's what it's called. It's purple. You can ride the Purple Demon, and guess what? This weekend, he went out there without the limiter key. The limiter key is a key that goes in the jet ski for kids that doesn't allow the jet ski to give you all the power the jet ski's got. He went out without the limiter key. Oh, my God. Then I realized he went out without his phone and the limiter key. But he was okay. He came back. It was a very stressful few hours out there. But he came back, had a nice little talk with him yesterday on the ride home, a nice little, hey, let's keep it real, father-son kind of moment. I told him how proud I was of him, how those moments, how I didn't yell at him when he came back. I really wanted to. I wanted when he came back on the jet ski, I wanted to be like, how dare you be gone that long? But I didn't. I held it together because ultimately I was just proud of him that I can actually trust him with these more responsible things. So how about that for a nice father-son moment over the weekend? Smee says, isn't it odd letting them go off on their own for things like that? It is, man. It's so hard. We've heard, because we're all grown up. We got kids now. Many of us have kids that are grown. But even when we were younger, we're growing up, we heard like adults say shit like that. Like, oh, they're going off to college. It's like when you actually experience them, obviously, you tend to understand that those people weren't crazy, that it really is a thing when they, go off to college or, take off in the family car for the first time after getting their driver's license, or in this case, disappear into the horizon on a super powerful jet ski. I'm like, oh, there he goes on a lake where 2 people have died in the 2 previous. So, I was very concerned. And we didn't even mention the alligator sightings. Oh, that's right. Apparently there's alligators in Lake Louisville now. To go with the snakes and the spiders. Anyway, it's an awesome lake. Any good body of water is going to have some kind of predator in there. If there ain't a predator in the water, it ain't worth our time. Jeff says, at least he never came back drunk from partying with the college girls in Party Cove. Not yet, but he's ahead of the curve there. I mean, he's 15 and he already knows where the sexy people are at Party Cove. He knows, he knows the route. Oh, that was the other big thing that he had to do. Oh, this is, okay, I won't bore you anymore because, this is all dad stuff, but please indulge me. The other thing that he had to do this weekend that was super big, and I know it doesn't sound big, but it was really big. He was in charge by himself of taking the jet skis off the jet ski dock, which means he's got to back it off and all that, which is, something you learn to do, but it's not easy. You got to do it a couple of times before you're comfortable with it. So he was in charge of getting the jet skis all prepped off the dock, and then he had to take it over to the gas dock and he had to lead another person on a jet ski who had never been on that jet ski before. He had to lead them to the gas dock. He had to gas them both up using Uncle E's credit card. He had to gas up both of them. Then, because we were on the boat and we were already heading out to Party Cove, then he at 15 had to lead the other people on, they were grown-ups at least, but he had to lead the other people on the jet ski to Party Cove. He knew how to get to Party Cove at 15 from the gas dock at Eagle Point Marina. Look at him. He knows how to do stuff. He's not a baby anymore. He's still 15. He's still 15, and you're reminded of that in moments like when, you refuse to go to Taco Bell for the 3rd night in a row, and then he turns into a 15-year-old. That happens. No, that's not actually true. I was just, he was good. All right, guys, what do you say we get started here with the high noon rant? Okay, that's enough. Oh, Oh, wait, no, I got a couple more things. Guess what? So I always tell you about how over the weekend when I have my kid, we don't just watch any random movie. I have a list. I take the cultural education of my son very seriously, and we got to watch 2 movies this weekend. He didn't put up any fights or anything. He was like, "Yeah, I'll watch those." We watched 2 movies that are very important, significant in his cultural education that he may not have seen because of his age, that he may not have really ever, ventured in. Anyway, he saw them now and he liked them both. My son, my 15-year-old, and I saw Pulp Fiction. Yeah, he dug that. We have a history. We are running through the Tarantino filmography. We've seen, but we haven't seen Pulp Fiction. We saw Pulp Fiction. Very excited about. And then Saturday we watched Borat, the original Borat, the real Full Metal Borat, not any of the watered down stuff. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. He was like, this is insane. This is these people. This was all real. I'm like, yeah, it's all real for the most part. There were a couple of actors who were planted in there, like the prostitute and stuff, but for the most part, yeah. So that was our weekend. Jet skiing, slight sunburn, not enough sunscreen. Jet skiing, slight sunburn, Pulp Fiction, Taco Bell, and Borat. All right. I hope your weekend was as awesome as mine. Smee says, that's the Lake Kid, my description of him being able to lead a group of adults to Party Cove. That's the Lake Kid equivalent of welcoming people to your parents' adult-themed party, taking their coats and asking what they'd like to drink. Yeah. It is. That is. It's the same thing. May I take your coat? And then there's another 10-year-old making cocktails. That is so cool. That is so not something that happens anymore. But that is absolutely something that you would have seen when I was growing up. You would have seen kids making drinks. I could make drinks for my grandma at 8 years old. I knew how to make her drink, and it was easy. It was basically just straight gin in a martini glass. That's basically it. Just chilled, frozen martini glass and straight gin. But she made me go, get her drinks when I was 8. Go make me a drink. And I'd be like, okay. Byron says he worked 33 hours in 2 days and now waiting on the baby. Exhausted. All right, we'll settle in. Lay down, like I said, get yourself a futon. Form the soul circle of life. Chill out in the chat room for a little bit. All right, let's get started. That's enough of the small talk. I'm sure we'll pepper in more small talk throughout the course of this show. But we've got actual current events and hot topics to discuss here on the Rant. It is the High Noon Rant for the 10th day of June, year of our Lord, 2024. June 10th is the 162nd day of the year. There's 204 remaining until the end of the year, so get those New Year's Eve plans started. Quarter 1, let's go. Antecedently on this day. This is where we take a look back and cherry pick some things that happened on this day in history and talk about them a little bit. On this day, antecedently, in 1692, the Salem witch trials. Someone by the name of Bridget Bishop, and I say someone by the name of because they seem to be someone of note because they have their own Wikipedia page. Bridget Bishop is hanged at Gallows Hill near Salem, Massachusetts for certain detestable arts. Ooh, fancy way of charging you with witchcraft. Not even specific. Certain. Yeah, she did certain detestable arts. 1692. We were still blaming what we didn't understand on witchcraft. Antecedently on this day in 1935, Dr. Bob Smith would form the cure. No, that's not Robert Smith. This is a different Robert Smith. Dr. Robert Smith took his last drink on this day in 1935. And then he and his buddy, his drinking buddy, Bill Wilson, formed Alcoholics Anonymous. On this day, 1935, this is when the whole Alcoholics Anonymous thing started. Thoughts on Alcoholics Anonymous? I think that programs that help people who are in need of help are good in general. However, when I was little, when I was 16, 17, I was involved in an incident involving alcohol and a car. Let's just leave it at that. And part of my court-ordered situation as a teen who had done something, I had to go to Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. I was 16. I wasn't a middle-aged man on the verge of divorce who had gotten his third DUI in a row. I didn't need Alcoholics Anonymous. I was a 16-year-old kid. And I remember, Alcoholics Anonymous has been able to sort of infest themselves into our public tax dollars. A bunch of other these groups have as well. But they're forced, and we had to pay for it. We had to pay like $80. Regular people who go to Alcoholics Anonymous, they don't have to pay anything. But the court charged us. We had to go. We had to pay. We had to go. And I'm sitting there. I'm 16 years old. And they want me to stand up and go, my name is Pugs and I'm an alcoholic. I'm 16. I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing here. I'm going to sit down and shut up and listen to this guy talk about how he almost killed his wife. It was insane. So whatever. I mean, look, people need help. They get help. But the way that Alcoholics Anonymous was forced on me at 16, I'm not an alcoholic. I'm a grown man. I haven't had a drink. Well, I had a couple beers. Let's be honest. I had a couple beers at the lake. But I wasn't like lake drunk or anything. I literally only had a couple of beers. I mostly drank at the lake. I was drinking Coke Zeros. Nice cold Coke Zeros. I even had a Gatorade. That's the other thing about old Captain E's boat. You got everything on there. Whatever you need. There's not even just one kind of beer. Like if I had a boat, I'd buy a couple of cases of beer and that's what you drink. It's boat beer. He's got everything. He's got Corona. He's got fancy bottles of he's got regular stuff for his loser friends like me. He's got Miller, which is cool, but everything. Gatorades, and then for kids, in case there's kids, Gatorade and soda. I don't know. What's up, everybody? Jameson's in the chat room. Antecedently on this day in 1944 in baseball, 15-year-old Joe Nuxhall made his debut for the Cincinnati Reds, becoming the youngest player in Major League Baseball history, 15 years old. But let's be honest about this. This was 1944. A 15-year-old in 1944 is like a 30-year-old in 2024. So it's not that crazy. And they probably didn't even bat an eye at it. Now, through the lens of history, we're like, that seems awful young. 1944, a 15-year-old, 15-year-olds had families. 15-year-olds have, been 10-year veterans of the coal mine back then. Anyway, this day, youngest ball player in history. His record will never break. We would never allow a little leaguer. No, not a chance. So in a record that will never be broken, Joe Nuxhall on this day in 1945 became the youngest player in Major League Baseball history at 15 years old. Antecedently on this day in 1963, the Equal Pay Act of 1963 was signed. It abolished wage disparity based on sex, women, equal pay, and all of that stuff, signed into law by John F. Kennedy as part of his New Frontier Plan. Antecedently on this day in 1977, this is an amazing story to me. How did this happen? Imagine something like this happening today concerning an individual this high profile. Okay, check this out. On this day in 1977, James Earl Ray, the assassin of Martin Luther King, escapes from Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary in Tennessee. He is recaptured 3 days later. I think in England, right? Didn't he get to England? James Earl Ray, the guy who killed Martin Luther King, escaped from prison. That's nuts. How did that happen? Well, I guess you'd never hear anything that absurd happening in our prison system. And then, Epstein hangs himself. So who knows? Antecedently on this day in 1991, 11-year-old J.C. Dugard is kidnapped in South Lake Tahoe, California. She'd remain captive until 2009. Do you remember this girl? Do you remember J.C. Dugard? This crazy story? J.C. Dugard was walking to the bus stop. She was in first grade or something. No, she was 11. So maybe fourth grade, fifth grade. She's walking to the bus stop. And a car just drives up, rolls down the window, asking for directions, a man and a woman. She leans into the window and she gets stun gunned. And they pull her in the car. They speed off. She's kidnapped for 18 years. 18 years, these people. They molest her. They rape her. She has 2 children. She has 2 little girls with this guy that attacked her. And then and then she got rescued. Well, she got rescued because the dude was a nut and he was trying to go around and give lectures at colleges about how he cured his sex addiction or whatever. And he's going around to these colleges pitching the idea with these two young girls that he fathered with the girl that he kidnapped 18 years earlier. It's a mess. Incredible story. J.C. Dugard. She was abducted on this day in 1991. On this day, antecedently in 2009, 88-year-old James Wanamaker von Braun opens fire inside the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. This is, do you remember the Holocaust Museum shooting from, 2009? It's been a while. This guy, he was an 88-year-old white supremacist, neo-Nazi leader, World War II vet for the Americans. Like, he was an American. He's like pro-German, pro-Nazi, all this stuff, but he was a World War II guy. He fought in World War II on the American side. Granted, in the Pacific Theater, but still, that's weird. Anyway, that happened on this day. 88-year-old, he died a year later. So maybe he knew he was dying, and he's like, I'm going to go attack the Holocaust Museum. That was on this day, antecedently in 2009. All right, let's do birthdays. These are people who are having a birthday today. At least they claim it's their birthday. I don't know. Shmee says, we were talking about Joe Nuxall on this day being the youngest baseball player in Major League Baseball history. Shmee says 15-year-olds in 1944 were trying to enlist in the military. It's true. Says they're definitely older than their years. Everybody, you know what 15 was like in 1612? 15 was like a 45-year-old. Let's do some birthdays. All right, they say it's their birthday. Again, I can't be sure. I'm not going to check around at county offices, but whatever. These are the published reports of people being born on this day. On this day in 1922, the world welcomed Judy Garland. Judy Garland! Saw an interesting thing recently. It was an interview with her daughter, Liza Minnelli. And the interviewer said to Liza Minnelli, your mother, Judy Garland, and now yourself have established themselves as cornerstones of gay culture. How do you explain that the gay community has embraced your mother to the degree that they have, and now they've embraced you to the degree that they have? How do you explain that, Liza? And she just deadpanned into the camera. Well, they have great taste. Oh, that's good. That's how you answer a question like that. That's great. Anyway, her mom, Judy Garland, happy birthday. She was Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. Did you know she was only 5 foot tall? I didn't know that. Judy Garland was tiny. Kristen Bell, if there was a basketball team, Kristen Bell would be the center on that basketball team. Judy Garland would be like a point guard at 5 foot tall. Born on this day in 1922, tiny little Judy Garland. Born on this day in 1923, Robert Maxwell. You know who Robert Maxwell is? That's that Ghislaine Maxwell's dad. He was a piece of work. He was in the 1980s, he was the primary competitor to Rupert Murdoch. Robert Maxwell was a super powerful publisher and newspaper magnate and criminal. He was totally crooked, embezzled all kinds of money, went to jail for a bunch of years. Ghislaine was so disgraced that she had to run to the arms of a real man, Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah. Robert Maxwell, born on this day in 1923, born on this day in 1941. How about Mickey Jones? Mickey Jones, American drummer? Okay, but we all know Mickey Jones as an actor. Here, let me show you Mickey Jones. I love Mickey Jones. Mickey Jones was a Texas boy. He lived here in North Texas for a while. Well, he was born here. I think he was from Houston. But anyway, here. Mickey Jones is someone absolutely everybody knows. You get a look at Mickey Jones, you go, I know Mickey Jones. And we're like, yep, that's Mickey Jones. Mickey Jones is more famous for being a character actor. He is an apex, that guy actor. He's in like everything. Now, there was another dude who looked exactly like him, who was also in a lot of things from the 1970s. I think that dude's name is like Dennis Dugard or something, but they looked exactly the same, so don't get it confused. But anyway, Mickey Jones was a drummer for Bob Dylan. He replaced Levon Helm when Levon Helm had a little bit too much of Bob Dylan and left Dylan's band. So Mickey Jones played with him. Mickey Jones played with Kenny Rogers in the Fifth Dimension. Mickey Jones played with Trini Lopez. That's where he got started. Trini Lopez broke out of the Deep Ellum scene back in the 1960s. Anyway, after being one of the most sought-after studio and rock drummers in the game, he decided, I'm going to parlay this into some acting work, and he just started appearing in everything. Here, ladies and gentlemen, it's Mickey Jones's birthday. He used to do the Pugs and Kelly show all the time. He was super nice. I really like him. Here he is. You'll know him when you'll see him. You're like, oh, yeah, that dude. Yeah. You know, that big, he always played like a trucker or something. He was always big and good-hearted. Like almost all, he would play a heavy, like a guy that's going to break your ankles or break your kneecaps. But he often played the heavy for the good guys. You know, he was always a good dude. Mickey Jones. Boom. Look at there. He's on stage. Home Improvement. All right, look. Yeah, he was on Home Improvement. There he is. There he is. There he is. He's a good man. He's dead now. Badass dude. I love Mickey. Mickey was such a nice man. I co-hosted a charity event with him once. He was very kind. Mickey Jones, born on this day in 1941. He died a few years back. Probably about 10 years now at this point. Born on this day in 1954. Happy birthday to an absolute genius. And sometimes God only touches you once. They give you one idea and you run with it and you try and go to the bank on that idea for the rest of your life. For some people, that's not enough. For some people, they spend the rest of their life unhappy chasing whatever that next great divine inspiration is. But not this guy. This guy cashed in and said, goodbye, Hollywood. I got my bag. Happy birthday to Rich Hall, creator of Sniglets. Yeah. Remember Sniglets? We should watch some Sniglets. Let's watch some Sniglets. I bet you there's a bunch of Sniglets on YouTube. Now, you younger people, you don't remember Sniglets. Sniglets was a bit that Rich Hall created on the TV show Fridays. And Fridays was sort of a Saturday Night Live ripoff that was on Fridays. Let me see if I can find a good example of Sniglets. They were made up words. Here we go. We'll do this. So this is, so this is from Not Necessarily News. He performed Sniglets as a part of his comedy act and then turned it into a bit on 3 different shows. Fridays, Not Necessarily the News on HBO, and then later Saturday Night Live. It's Richard Sniglets. And by the way, can I just say, as a kid, this was like apex comedy. I was like 10 years old, man. Sniglets, I was down with Sniglets. All right, here we go. Okay, Sniglets. This one's from Not Necessarily.
Hi, I'm Rich Hall. You know, several months ago on this show, we introduced a new concept into the English language, sniglet. Now, a sniglet is any word that should be in the dictionary, but isn't. For instance, the word spratchet. To those giant windshield wiper-looking things you always find at checkout counters. Now, you don't have to go beyond your local supermarket to find a good half-dozen Sniglets.
Spiros are the star-shaped marks on the ends of hot dogs.
Now, squimets are those disgusting threads that you always find hanging from bananas whenever you try to peel.
This is a mott-spur, the pesky fourth wheel on that shopping cart. Never seems to get along with the other 3. The act of taking food from one section of the store and replacing it in another section is known as perpetation. And it's a seasoned perpetrator who can camouflage these foods effectively. These misplaced foods are known as food flotsam, and they have a pretty mysterious way of showing up on your grocery bill.
By all means, keep those Sniglets coming, folks.
Right.
We can use them. Mail in the Sniglets, P.O. Box 2000.
Sniglets. That dude, Rich Hall, that's all he got. That's all he had in the tank. He had Sniglets. Born on this day in 1954. Born on this day in 1961. How about Kim Deal? Kim Deal. Ooh, you like the alt rock? Well, then you should know who Kim Deal is because she's one of the most important. She wasn't there in the Pacific Northwest. She wasn't a part of the Riot Girl scene. Kim Deal was doing the whole Riot Girl thing a good 5 years before the Riot Girls were ever even a thing that came about. Before our Donita Sparks, before our Courtney Loves, before our L7s. There was Kim Deal. Kim Deal was one of the co-founders of one of the greatest bands in the history of rock and roll, the Pixies, of course, but probably made all her money with the Breeders. She, after the Pixies got tired of not making any money for like amazing good songs, she formed the Breeders, and then she had a bunch of hits. She had a bunch of like pop crossover, top 40 alt rock hits. Kim Deal of the Breeders, and most importantly, the Pixies. Born on this day in 1961. Born on this day in 1962. Here's a chick. All right, let me turn into a guy here. Can I just be a guy? Can I just be a Gen X guy who was raised in the 80s? Here's a chick. Here's a chick that I've... First, let me state unequivocally, very sexually attracted to her. Very sexually attracted to her. Here's the conundrum. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why. I mean, there are obvious reasons as to why. You know, she's a very sexual kind of individual, and her whole vibe is that. But then I look at her and I'm like, I should be more sexually attracted to other. I don't like, I guess, physical appeal. I'm just not. There's a drop off. There's a drop off from, oh my God, she's hot. And then you're like, is she though? Is she hot? Ladies and gentlemen, Gina Gershon has a birthday today. Gina Gershon. Very confusing to me. Again, very sexually attracted to her. I'm not going to, like, I wouldn't not, you know. But also, at some point, she's the kind of girl that, like, I could get with. Just listen to me. Listen to him. Let's just say that in this fantasy realm, I'm getting with Gina Gershon. Let's say she's the kind of girl I think that, like, I would get with her. And then very quickly, like oh my God, she's so hot, that's so sexy, whatever, there's something so sexy about her. That would fall away, like, very quickly, like probably a couple of months. And then I'd spend the rest of our relationship going, am I into her? When you eliminate that, am I into her? I should be so lucky to be confronted with that kind of a dilemma. I understand. And you're probably all saying it. I'm just saying that if I were to find myself in that position, I would probably be very unhappy. All right, moving on. Happy birthday. Oh, now here's one. Here's one I could be happy with. I could be happy with this one now. Let me tell you, there was a time. There was a time when I think that she would have hooked up with a guy like me. She probably, well, a guy like me, by that I mean anyone. I believe there was a time, there was a night, there was a moment, there was like maybe like a 12-hour period in this woman's life. Let's say there was a 12-hour period in this woman's life when I think any of us probably could have got her, when she would have been willing to just throw down with any manner of awful man beast. And I could have, gotten in there. Happy birthday, born on this day in 1965, to Elizabeth Hurley. Elizabeth Hurley. You know what 12-hour window I'm talking about, right? I'm talking about when her boyfriend, Hugh Grant, got picked up for soliciting a prostitute. Divine Brown. Remember that? Remember how humiliating that was for Elizabeth Hurley? Elizabeth Hurley, in that moment in time, if you had asked anyone on the street in that moment in time, name the 3 sexiest women on the planet, there was a good chance Elizabeth Hurley would have been name dropped. And she's with Hugh Grant. And Hugh Grant is like, okay, I guess he's like sexy in that weird way that some women find English pussies sexy, right? He's very English, and like, your run-of-the-mill America could stomp a mud hole in his ass. So some women find that attractive. I get that. That's okay. And I get, is it the sophistication of it? Maybe that's what it is. Okay. But anyway, point is this. Hugh Grant, who has no business in a normal world being with someone like Elizabeth Hurley, had the gall to, on his way home to her, to stop and pick up like a $50 crack whore off the street. And then he got arrested. Meanwhile, he got Elizabeth Hurley waiting in bed in Malibu for him. So what I'm saying is, I think that, like, after she was told what happened and everybody started making jokes and she was super humiliated, I believe there was probably a 12-hour window when us regular guys had a shot. That has passed. Have you seen her lately? Have you seen like 63-year-old Elizabeth Hurley lately? Oh my God. Oh my, we need an old broad's beauty pageant. Old broad draft. I could do that. Sexy old broad draft. Have you seen Salma Hayek lately? All right, what is an old broad? I think old broad has to be 57 plus. I think that's where we go. Old broad start 57 plus. Man. And moving on. Anyway, okay. So where are we at? Elizabeth Hurley. A little bit distracted at how sexy I once thought Elizabeth Hurley was. Let's see. Born on this day in 1965, Elizabeth Hurley. Born on this day in 1968. How about Bill Burr? Comedian. Bill Burr, the greatness of Bill Burr. Let's see here. Adam says, you see, Adam is now moral. He's taking the moral high ground here because of my thing about opportunity knocking with when and Elizabeth Hurley would be available. Adam says, yeah, because it's so hot to get with a girl who's in distress. I love to manipulate my way into a woman's underwear. Okay, that I suppose is one awful way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is that Elizabeth Hurley is an independent person, a sexual being in her own right, with power to choose. Now, I don't think I ever once said that we knock her out with some kind of drug so that she's incapacitated. I'm talking about at what point a woman of her stature might be willing to lower her standards and be with someone like me. When might that be? When she's trying to embarrass Hugh Grant. See, Adam went with this whole you're taking advantage of her. That wasn't my intent at all. What do you mean taking advantage of her? She says, no, I'm not going to rape her. The hell do you think is wrong with me? I'm just simply saying that there was a window of opportunity where I bet Elizabeth Hurley's standards had significantly dropped. And that was a moment in time for us ugly men to maybe win her over. And then maybe she likes us. Oh my God. What if that happens? What if, given that moment of opportunity, we make mad sweet love because she's mad. She's just trying to get back at Hugh and I don't care. And I'm not good because it's Elizabeth Hurley and it's over like that. But what if after that, what if we're like laying around and then she starts talking about Hugh? And what if, like I am wont to do, I'm really good at that shit. Like I'm really good at the pillow talk. I'm really good at making her feel. And then what if she organically falls in love with me, Adam? It's not all about rape. All men are not rapists. Some of us are just ugly men who dream of being with sexy women like Elizabeth Hurley. It's no malice. Adjust your brain, boy. All right, moving on. Happy birthday, Elizabeth Hurley. It's also Bill Burr's birthday. Bill Burr, I like Bill Burr. He's a comic. I think that Bill Burr is one of these comics that maybe depending on how you vote, you like now have to not think it's funny. I don't give a shit. I like Bill Burr. I think it's funny. I think Bill Burr is funny. I think Dave Chappelle is funny. I think Shane Gillis is funny. I think, who else? I think Mulaney is funny. Funny is funny, man. Funny is funny. You make me laugh, and that's a natural reaction that I've just given to something you've created. You've created something out of whole cloth, and guess what? My natural reaction to experiencing your creation was to giggle organically. That ain't political. That's just art. All right, moving on. Born on this day in 1982. Here's a big celebrity. I don't know anything about her, though. I really don't. Here's what I know. Ice skater. Tara Lipinski, born on this day in 1982. Is she a gold medal winner? I don't know. Here's what's probably true. Because I can't immediately picture her, she's not hot. She wasn't like super hot. They didn't sexualize the marketing of Tara Lipinski, at least not to any way that made effect on me. Because I was susceptible to that shit. I would have totally, Katarina Witt? Are you kidding me? I remember Katarina Witt. Why? Because she was hot. Who was the other one? Anna Kournikova. Never saw her win a race or a tennis match. I know who Anna Kournikova is. Why? Because she was sexualized in the marketing of her. Danica Patrick, she never won nothing. She was kind of hot. So they sexualized the marketing of her. I don't know that they did that for Tara Lipinski. Although, again, aren't we talking about skaters? So was she with like 12? So maybe that could have been the reason, Pugs. Maybe you ought to think of it that way. But doesn't that say a lot about me? That I don't sexualize 12-year-olds because can't picture her, but I know she's a name. Happy birthday, Tara Lipinski. Born on this day in 1982. Born on this day in 1983. Okay, guys, are you ready for a little Clone Factory talk? This is one of the best examples. When I give my lectures, mostly at Eastern European universities, but when I give my lectures on the Hollywood Clone Factory, and they're always well received, but when I give my lectures, I close with this. This is what I close with as an example of the Hollywood Clone Factory being in operation and constantly making tweaks and changes to existing clone models. This person was born in 1983. She is an actress. And here's what I think happened with her. Here, I'm going to make sure we get this picture up and ready so that we can show you. Yeah. There we go. Very nice. All right. So here's what happened with this particular birthday girl, born on this day in 1983. They created a clone. They created a style of clone. It was a little offbeat. They were like, we would do some changes. This is going to be like a, what do they call, a test model. And they rolled her out. And holy shit, she became successful. She became really successful. They were like, my God, she's marketable. Let's keep building on that clone. And so they asked the question then, well, how do we make it fuckable? How do we make that clone hot? How do we do that? And that's how on this day, it's happy birthday to Lily Sobieski, who is the improvement of the Helen Hunt clone. Look at that. She is a sexualized Helen Hunt. I'm not kidding. Lily Sobieski, you know, the actress, she looks exactly like Helen Hunt, 20 years younger. She is a 20-year younger Helen Hunt. Now, this is just one pic. And how do I know that I'm not crazy for this? Because all you got to do is say into Google or Bing, Helen Hunt, Lily Sobieski, side by side. And there are a million of these pictures going, yeah, they're clones. Look at this. Look at that. Now, there was something they didn't, because Helen Hunt is a beautiful woman, but she's not sexy. That's something, that's some intangible that we can't put our finger on. There is no reason that Helen Hunt shouldn't be a sex symbol, but at no point in her career did they go, she's not going to be the hot one. Let's not make her the hot one. We can make her the wife. We can make her the dutiful wife and the good mother and all that kind of stuff. But there was never any like, you know, Helen Hunt in a bikini in this next movie. That was never an option. Lily Sobieski, that's different. They made Lily Sobieski and then went, well, she's hot. We've got a hot Helen Hunt. Thank you. I rest my case. Pick up DVDs on your way out the door. Thank you for attending the Hollywood Clone Factory lecture here at Western Prague State University. Adam says, what a surprise. What a surprise. Adam with a left field take. Adam's always been sexually attracted to Helen Hunt. I love Adam. He's one of my oldest friends around these parts, but I still think that's nuts. Helen Hunt was great. She was awesome. She was fun. Who didn't like her? Mad About You was a good show. But I never like looked at Helen Hunt as like a sexual object. I never went, oh, wow, man. Like maybe I did Dharma, you know, from Dharma and Greg. Or like maybe I did Grace from Will and Grace. I never, you know, you didn't look at, for me, okay, I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. This is a me thing. That's fine. Anyway, Lily Sobieski is without doubt a Helen Hunt clone that was created on this day in 1982. Else we 83. Sorry, on this day in 1992. Oh, geez, here's one. Now we don't even have to debate this one. Happy birthday, Kate Upton. Woo! Woo! Who's she married to? She married to Berlander. She's married to some pitcher, isn't she? Kate Upton. What is Kate Upton? She's a boob model. That's what she is. She's a dime a dozen beautiful blonde. From the neck up, there's a billion blondes that are just as beautiful as her. And let me tell you, she's beautiful. She's off the charts beautiful. But from the like neck to the belly button, that's Kate Upton's moneymaker. The torso. It's all about Kate Upton's torso. Never heard her speak. Have no idea what she sounds like. I wonder how my friend. Okay, so this is a weird thing. So like, I don't know, it was like a year ago or something, but my friend was talking about, my friend likes porn, and he was talking about a porn star that had like the craziest cartoon voice ever. Like, I don't want to show because I don't want to put porn on here. But then he sent me a clip of it. He's like, dude, seriously. I go, I know you don't want this on your phone, but just listen to her voice. I think her name is Lucy Dare or something. I don't know. Look for some porn star named Lucy something, and she's got this insane voice. Anyway, there you go. I don't even know what Kate Upton looks like. That's what or sounds like. That's my point. My point is, I don't know what my point is. I guess my point is that if you're selling sex, it doesn't matter what your voice sounds like. Not that Kate Upton has a weird voice. She might have a normal voice. Let's move on. There you go. That's the birthday segment. I'm just stream of consciousness. I'm just talking shit, man. That's it. Just shit streaming for 2 hours every day. Shmi says Jessie Jane. No, Jessie Jane had a normal voice. Jessie Jane had a good. I mean, I don't like. I'm thinking of Jessie's voice. She was good. She was normal. She was all right. Adam is defending himself, saying that he was 11 when he was attracted to Helen Hunt. Now that would make sense because you haven't hit puberty yet, and you are still drawn. I'm not gonna say attracted. That's what you used, but you are still inexplicably drawn to a good maternal character, and that is, I think, Helen Hunt's lane. So now, see, you've made sense of it all for me, Adam. Thank you so much. All right, that's going to do it for birthdays. Let's talk about the deads. These are the people who died. These are the people who died. Pour one out, Jim Carroll. We like to decide based upon their life's resume and what we understand of their accomplishments, their reputation left behind and whatnot, whether they went to heaven or hell. So let's talk about these people. Dead on this day in 1946, Jack Johnson. I'll give you a couple of Jack Johnsons. Jack Johnson was a boxer. Jack Johnson was a controversial boxer. Jack Johnson was a black boxer. Jack Johnson is oftentimes credited with being America's very first superstar black athlete. Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson was a boxer. He knocked everybody out. He was tough. He was scary. Everybody liked him. He was a bigwig in Harlem. He owned clubs. He owned the original Cotton Club. He built the Cotton Club. Now, he sold it, and they changed the name to the Cotton Club, but he built that bar and that Harlem institution. Also, what Jack Johnson is most well known for is the Mann Act. Jack Johnson was not afraid of the media, not afraid of the press. When Jack Johnson would, climb out of his limo in 1930 in Philadelphia, he often climbed out of that limo with a couple of young white girls. Photogs would take those pictures. They'd be in newspapers, and oh my God, not only was it that they were young girls, but they were white girls, and he was black, and he didn't have any concern about that whatsoever. Whereas, as we know at that time in America, that was not something that was allowed. What are you doing? Sorry, the dog has decided that now is a good time to eat her butt. Don't eat your butt. The dogs are so disgusting. She's like nibbling on her butt. It's more to the point. It's like where the tail meets the butt. But still, Jack Johnson had a girlfriend named Vivian. Oh, and by the way, I think it's his wife, actually. He was married to her. But her name was Vivian, and she was a white girl. And here's another fun fact. Any white girl that was with Jack Johnson, and he was with a lot of white girls in his day. Any white girl that was with Jack Johnson was listed in the newspapers publicly as a prostitute because it was unthinkable that a normal white woman would ever be with a black man. So any white woman that was with a black man was considered a prostitute. So anyway, what happened was he traveled for a boxing match, and he took his wife with him, and they crossed state lines, and the federals, they decided they thought that was illegal. But here's the thing. It wasn't illegal. They wanted this black guy with the white girlfriends appearing on the front pages of newspapers to somehow pay a very public price. So they put him in jail. They railroaded him. And while he was in jail, while he was on trial, the federal government created a new law called the Mann Act, which was, you couldn't bring underage or whatever prostitutes across state lines for illicit business. That's the Mann Act. That was created for him. He did his thing before the Mann Act, and yet retroactively in his trial, he was charged with the Mann Act. They dropped it in. They're like, oh, hey, new law dropped. We can now get him and he went to prison. Jack Johnson. This country's fucked up, man. We've done some fucked up things. So that's why I push back on everybody who clutches their pearls when Trump or Biden or somebody else is accused of doing something super fucked up. The only difference now is that we have cameras everywhere. We have the ability to record. This country did some really unconstitutional, fucked up shit for hundreds of years. And it's not about America. It's like, well, America is just inherently bad. No, it's not. It's that humans are. It has nothing to do with us. There's no nirvana. There's no utopia on this planet. Civilized societies from time to time have to deal with corruption and scandal. That's all. You got to be tough enough to get through it. Jack Johnson, they dropped a new law and charged him with it while he was on trial. Do you know how many laws that violates? You can't do that. That's certainly against a number of things that are in the Constitution. but nobody even appealed it because, whatever. This is how it is. Jack Johnson on this day. He's going to heaven, by the way. We're putting him in heaven. He probably did a whole bunch of bad things, but just the historical way that he was judicially lynched. That's what they called it. He was judicially lynched, this guy. He was probably also a bad guy. He probably also did some things. I mean, he was a boxer. He was big. He was brash. He wasn't afraid of anybody. He talked. He said some controversial things. But still, because of the whole Mann Act controversy, I'm putting Jack Johnson in heaven. Let him bounce the pearly gates. Born on this day dead on this day in 1967. Here's somebody I am going to put into heaven. Why? Because he played Father Flanagan, Spencer Tracy. Okay, so again, let's go back through the lens of history. Spencer Tracy is one of my favorite actors of all time. He's great in everything. I could name any number of stuff. If you had to see one thing that Spencer Tracy did, I would say see Guess Who's Coming to Dinner with him, Sidney Poitier, and Katharine Hepburn. That would be my suggestion. You don't have to go back and watch them all, but if you do stumble across a rando Spencer Tracy movie, you're going to enjoy him because he's tremendous. Anyway, he played Father Flanagan in Boys Town. I mean, Boys Town is a true story. Story of a priest who got tired of all the people meddling in his business in the big city parishes of the Catholic Church. So he went and he bought a bunch of land in the middle of nowhere and then took a whole bunch of troubled boys out there. All I'm saying is, by today's lens, that seems problematic, but they made a movie about it. And Spencer Tracy played Father Flanagan. And he was the great. He was great. He was awesome. So he's going to heaven. Spencer Tracy goes to heaven. But again, you got to pick one movie. Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? That movie is so good. That movie is so good. And then you realize you're like, this was when? 1968? This was made? Jesus, man. Dead on this day in 2002. Let's put John Gotti in hell. I mean, what do you want to say about John Gotti? He was a brutal, cold-blooded killer. If you got in his way, he cut you down. He cut down any number of people that were above him during his reign or during his climb to the reign of the Gambino crime family. Dudes. The Teflon Don. John Gotti. Put him in hell. I got nothing to say about him. I don't know what to say about him. Dead on this day in 2004. How about Ray Charles? Put Ray Charles in hell. Or heaven. Heaven, not hell. I don't want to put Ray Charles in hell. Here's why we're putting Ray Charles in heaven. I saw the movie Ray. It was good, but I don't remember anything about it. I think I was drunk. I think I was drunk when I saw it. I remember going to see Ray, and it was after dinner, and we were drinking, and we went to one of those places where you could keep drinking. And I don't know. I don't remember much about Ray, other than if you told me, "Hey, did you ever see Ray?" I'd be like, "Yes, it was great." I think it was, but anyway. Here's what I know about Ray Charles. Ray Charles was everywhere on television when I was a kid, whether it was the Tonight Show or the Captain and Tennille Variety Hour, whatever it was. Ray Charles was always being trotted out there. And he was one of the blind guys. Like when I was little, we had a bunch of famous blind dudes in the 70s. We had Ray Charles, of course. We had Stevie Wonder. We had Roddy Millsap's blind. I think we even had country blind. You know who wasn't blind? Who I thought was blind? Roy Orbison. I always thought Roy Orbison was blind. Seriously, like right up until he died. Like I'm like, what do you mean he drove a car? Wow, that's pretty impressive. What do you mean it's pretty impressive? He's blind, right? Roy Orbison wasn't blind. Was he? Did he have an impairment with his eyes? He wore black wraparound shades all the time and didn't move on stage. I just assumed. Anyway, Ray Charles going to heaven because every time I saw him on TV in the 1970s, he was smiling. He seemed nice. Stevie Wonder, too. There was old, blind, black musician from the 70s. That was Ray Charles. And then there was young, blind, black musician from the 70s, and that was Stevie Wonder. Both of them go to heaven in my book. Born on this day, or dead on this day, I should say, in 2023. How about the pride of Evergreen Park? South Side! That's right. The South Side of Chicago has produced many a name. None creepier than this guy. Dead on this day in 2023. How about Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber? I was born in the same hospital as the Unabomber. How cool is that? I mean, years apart. I mean, he's much older than me, but Little Company of Mary Hospital in Evergreen Park. Me and the Unabomber. And I think if there's a Wikipedia page, like, how do I know that? How do I know Ted Kaczynski was born? Oh, I know how I know he was born at the same hospital as me. Okay, I know. Because at some point I probably read Ted Kaczynski's Wikipedia page, and in the early life it probably said Ted was born at Little Company Mary House, and I went, hey, me too. All right, that's gonna do it. Those are the deads. We are 3/4 through this show. Let's once again thank our executive producer of today's show, the lovely, the talented, the always capable, and just relentlessly supportive Christina P. If you'd like to support this show in any way, shape, or form, drop a little something in either the Venmo or the Cash App. That's how the show runs, on your tips. Let's get into all the things that are happening today, the stuff that people are talking about. Hunter Biden. The Hunter Biden case is going on. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on it because we don't do politics, and we certainly don't do divisive politics. And this seems to be something that we wouldn't cover if he wasn't the son of the president. So therefore, it's political. So we're going to avoid it for the most part. But here's what I want to say about Hunter Biden. This is what I've learned from just sort of kind of watching the Hunter Biden tape or the Hunter Biden trial. One, his wife is kind of hot. I'm kind of attracted to Hunter Biden's wife, and I have pinned it down. Remember, I told you she looks like a mashup of a number of people. I saw more pictures of her over the weekend, and she's definitely got Uma Thurman vibes. Also, Hunter Biden's wife, very fashionable. Like, I love the way she dresses. I love her. Like, she's bitch. You know me. I've told you. I'm attracted to bitchy women. I'm attracted to, like, large and in charge, chicks that, like, stand with confidence. I'm attracted to chicks who get hit on a lot. That's basically it. So, unfortunately, I'm attracted to attractive women. But there is a certain breed, not all attractive women are like this, but there's a certain breed of attractive woman who is so used to being hit on that she has turned deflecting it into an art form. And it comes off as slightly bitchy. Some might see cuntish. By the way, I understand that young people are bringing that word back. I think that's fine. I had that conversation this weekend with some young people. The C word, which was just not something we were ever supposed to go near. Apparently, they're bringing it back. And here's one of the reasons why. It is incredible. This is the only English-speaking country in the world where that word is seen the way it's, or heard, or taken the way it's taken here in this country. Like, every other country that uses the C word, they use it like England? Oh my God, they use it like we use dick. You're a dick. That's how they use it. You're a cunt. That's how they use it. Australia, Scotland, Ireland, they all use it all the time. And now, because there is so much influence from around the world because of global connectivity, we've had entire generations of kids. Like my son, one of my son's favorite YouTubers is some dude from Ireland. And that dude says cunt all the time. And I think that's probably what's happening. I think we're hearing it in a less gratuitous and less menacing way. And we're like, it is a fun word to say. So maybe people can get over being, pretend offended at hearing that word. Anyway, Hunter Biden's wife appears to be one of those, and that I find attractive. That, and she looks like Uma Thurman. She's just kind of got this, like, don't talk to me. You're too ugly to talk to me. God, I like that. I love abuse. I love being abused. Let's see here. The criminal trial of President Biden's son has resumed. It's almost over, you guys. I'm glad, because it's a jury. Let a jury decide, man. That's kind of how we do. We let a jury decide Trump. Let's let a jury decide this one. Let's see how it goes, and then let's be done with it. But they're about to start closing arguments. The criminal trial of President Joe Biden's son has resumed and is heading into its final stretch as closing arguments begin. Hunter Biden did not testify. Let's see here. In closing arguments, defense attorney Abe Lowell, who argued that prosecutors were unable to show when and how drug residue got on a leather pouch, Haley Biden, I don't fucking care. Whatever. It's going to be what it's going to be. And then guess what's going to happen? There's going to be a pardon. His dad's just going to pardon him. And I think there's a lot of people who are going to be pretend freaking out about it, but this is exactly what I would do, without a doubt. This is political. I mean, I think that he very well may have broken a law that a lot of people break and that no one has ever been prosecuted for. And I think that he's being and that's fine. We can say the same. I've heard the same people complaining about what happened with Trump, and I think they're onto something. But we adjudicated that one, and it went through, and he got convicted. Okay, so now we're going to adjudicate this one, which I think that he should be. I mean, if the light of day shined on these charges, and these are legitimate charges, although again, not charges that are commonly brought because they're almost impossible to prove, but whatever. This guy brought them, which I think might be for slightly political reasons, but also I could say the same thing about what just happened in New York with Trump. So we were okay with that. That was adjudicated. A jury came up with a decision. Here we go. Let's let them do it as well. But here's the difference. See? There is a level to this argument where we have to acknowledge that these are not normal charges for either regular people. Like, this is not, no local police department is going to invest the money and resources to try and prove that you smoked a joint the morning you went to buy a gun 5 years ago. You know what I mean? That shit's expensive. You've got to pay people to so it's not something that's done. But anyhow, so let's say he gets convicted. His dad's the president. His dad can go, okay, you got us. But here's the thing, kids. I'm the president, and I could just rubber stamp this bitch, and it's over. You had your fun. You brought your charges. I get it. And now he's walking. That's exactly what's going to happen. And I got to tell you, just from a completely objective, I don't like Biden. I don't want to vote for Biden. But these are the kinds of things that make me go, I get it. I get that. I would totally do that too. A charge like that, my drug addict son, absolutely. Now, if it was something else, it was like a larceny or, you raped somebody, dangerous ones, you know what I mean? But this is, he broke the law. He broke the law. I mean, the letter of the law, he broke the law. At least we all think he did, because we all think that he was an incorrigible drug addict. And certainly when he went and purchased that gun and filled out that paperwork, I believe that he was probably still using drugs, but he said he wasn't. And that's the criminal offense. Again, that I say there's almost never brought, but it was brought in this case. So, okay, so whatever. We're going to a jury. Good. Let a jury decide. The jury decided over there. But again, I do point out, he's going to get a pardon immediately. So, see, that's something that he's got, because in the moment that this political trial is being brought against Hunter Biden, in this moment, his dad's still the president. So he can do that. So he's got that. The other guy doesn't have that. The other guy now has to absolutely win. The other guy, if he doesn't win, he's probably going to jail. So is life. I don't know. Let's watch how it plays out. There you go. Did you like my Hunter Biden trial coverage? He won't go to jail. He's going to get pardoned immediately. Oh, Joe. Oh, Daddy Joe. You know how he's like a simp for his kids? Everything about Joe. My kids. Hunter Biden is a silver-spooned child of privilege and entitlement who decided to take all the advantages that he was given and try crack cocaine. That's what he decided. Fuck him, right? That's kind of how I feel. I don't cry any tears for him. He's no better than Don Jr., and I hate Don Jr. Don Jr.'s like a dick. Like, Don Jr. is the guy, you go to some like other high school's party, right? And you don't know anybody at the party, but you know one dude, and he told you to come, so you show up at the door. Don Jr. is the dickhead who approaches in like the yellow polo with the collar popped and the beer going, you don't belong here. That's who fucking Don Jr. is. It's like a villain from a John Hughes movie. So I got no love for him either. But Hunter Biden, he almost pisses me off more. Because his whole thing was drugs. Like, I'm just going to get into drugs a lot. I'm going to smoke crack first thing in the morning and do like weird sex things. Oh, no, wait, that was Anthony Weiner. I just got confused with something Anthony Weiner did. Didn't Anthony Weiner take a naked picture with a baby? That's troubling. That is probably... Maybe not. I don't know. I shouldn't accuse him of that. I'm not sure. That's just how my memory works. You want to put my memory on trial, that's fine. All right, moving on. The Hunter Biden case. Thank you. What kind of coverage you get at breaking news here? Here's what we learned. I want to have sex with Hunter Biden's wife. Wait, I didn't say that. I said I'm attracted to Hunter Biden's wife. I think that he broke the law, and I think he's being charged for it, and I think he's going to go to a jury. I think the jury's probably going to let him go. I really do. See, I think the jury is going to save President Biden from having to pardon him, but he's absolutely going to pardon him. Absolutely. 100%. Don't kid yourself. His son ain't going to jail. He's going to pardon him. But I don't know if I don't know if they're going to find him guilty. I don't know anything about courts, right? I'm not a lawyer, but I'm hearing what people are saying, and this rapid pace. It was a show trial from the beginning. It's really difficult to prove that he was high on drugs like 7 years ago or something. So it's an uphill climb for the prosecution, but moving on. All right, Anthony Blinken, our not Secretary of Defense, he's our Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken. He's over there. Boy, you want to talk about desperate Biden. He is trying to get this whole Gaza situation under control before the election. He wants to be able to go, look at what I did. So he's got Anthony Blinken, our highly embarrassing Secretary of State. Did he bring his guitar? Hey, Tony, did you bring your rig? Do you remember he did that a couple weeks ago? What the fuck is wrong with you? This dude, the Secretary of State of the United States, during a moment when the earth is like just on the precipice of all-out world war, Anthony Blinken goes to the Ukraine to drop off one of those giant comical checks for like $7 billion or something. He goes personally to give, Zelensky the money or whatever. And then while he's there, he jumps up on stage at a local bar in Kiev and just jams with the house band. Oh. These own goals that we see so frequently now from political animals, who you would think is a political animal. I would think that Anthony Blinken would be so stupid. Did you think that was going to go viral and people were going to go, look how cool our Secretary of State is? That's what you thought? You didn't think you would go viral and people would be like, what the fuck? Is this guy serious? Anyway, Blinken's over there. He's trekking around. He's in Tel Aviv right now. Here's what's happening. They're trying to get Gazazians, whatever. They're trying to get those people. Hamas, I suppose. They're trying to get Hamas to agree to this new ceasefire that apparently Blinken and Biden and Netanyahu banged out. But here's the problem. Nobody in Israel likes this deal. As a matter of fact, Benny Gantz, who is the opposition leader there in the Knesset, which is a fun way, that's what they call Congress in Israel. Benny Gantz, who is the opposition leader and chief opponent to all of Netanyahu's decisions on the war cabinet in Israel, he resigned yesterday just out of nowhere. He said, yeah, you know what? I'm out. This guy, I can't work with him anymore. So that shit's falling apart. So, inside the Israeli government, shit is falling apart. And we didn't think Netanyahu had all of that great command of the situation to begin with, but now that's even more in question. And in the middle of it, we got the troubadour. We got Anthony Blinken over there with his guitar strapped on his back, walking around going, we're going to fix this, people. Blinken arrives in Tel Aviv to meet with Benjamin Netanyahu. This was the big story over the weekend, and I'm going to stretch out a little bit on this one because this thing's really got me pissed off. This is not pissed off for any of the culture war reasons that a lot of people will probably try and project onto this. No, this has got me pissed off because of the miss. You want to talk about own goals? Just talk about the Biden administration, how they're just the kings of own goals. This is a missed opportunity. This is an own goal. This is an absolutely terrible thing. And I'm telling you, the news broke this weekend, but it will not be the final say on this. That is not what's going to happen. I am talking about Caitlin Clark being left off the U.S. women's Olympic team list. It is almost unfathomable that women's Olympic basketball in this country at the highest level, they're out there in Colorado Springs at Olympic headquarters and training facilities or whatever. Women's Olympic basketball, the person who has the most power inside women's Olympic basketball is probably somebody 70, 75 years old who has been doing it since 1976 was my first Olympics. And they have always been the most powerful person in the sport of American women's basketball. The chairman of the women's national team. Those are the people. They have had within their personal universe. They could walk into the Target where you're shopping next to them and you wouldn't know who the fuck they are. But every day that they walk into their work, they got a preferred parking spot. People park the hallways. Ooh, that's the chairwoman of the women's national team. It's an important job, and power intoxicates. And I believe that one person or maybe a group of people within women's Olympic basketball here, Team USA, I believe that a number of them have an ego issue with Caitlin Clark. I think that they don't like that all of a sudden the thing that they used to have total control of, the thing that they were the most important beings to, because WNBA had never made any inroads. I mean, women's basketball is probably, women's Olympic Team USA is probably the apex thing. I can tell you that I've seen more women's Olympic basketball than I've seen WNBA basketball, and I'm just a regular guy sports fan. So here they are, they've got all of this, and now suddenly the WNBA is taking off as a league, and they've got a star of Magic Johnson and Larry Bird type proportions. She's like a combination of the two of them. And I'm telling you, there's some 75-year-old person who's in charge of women's basketball in this country who doesn't like it, who sees her as a challenge, who sees her as somebody who could possibly say no. Because Caitlin Clark has the power to do almost anything in women's basketball. Now, here's the good thing. Caitlin Clark is apparently awesome. She's apparently an awesome person. Caitlin Clark's response to being left off the team was amazing. She didn't pout. She didn't claim that, well, we'll see about this. She didn't do anything embarrassing. She was classy. She was heartbroken. You could tell that she was heartbroken. It had always been a dream of hers to play on the Olympic team. But she said, that's fine. I will set my sights on 2026 or whenever the hell the next Olympics are. I don't know. When are they? Every 4 years, every 2 years now? I don't know what it is. 2024, 4 years from now. Classy response. So that's what I think it is. I think it's people who resent and who are fearful of this tidal wave of new attention, maybe new scrutiny. Who knows? All of the women's national team practices never had need for media sections before. You get Caitlin Clark out there this summer, you're going to have to build an entire stand for media to cover Caitlin Clark on Team USA. That's just one aspect of it. Somebody very small-minded, desperately trying to hold on to control of women's basketball in this country, made an awful decision over the weekend and left off the singular superstar in women's basketball from the national team. That's one thing. Here's the other thing. Us. I would have watched. You would have watched. Right now, it's easy for you to sit here and go, I wouldn't have wasted my time on that. Yeah, you fucking would have. You know why? Because the NBC Olympic sports marketing machine would have cranked it up, and everybody would have been talking about it. Oh, you're going to go out there, you're going to see Caitlin Clark, she's taking another Russian. You're going to see Caitlin Clark, she's taking up. Now, there are some very good women on this team. Brittany Griner's the team captain. Kelsey Plum's on the team. There's good women on the team. But the missed opportunity to not have everyone in America tuning in for women's team games, women's basketball, that missed opportunity is unbelievable. I mean, it's just unfathomable. What you'd have been able to charge for advertising during women's national games with Caitlin Clark representing America, this woman that the sports world has been endlessly talking about for the last 9 months, who, believe it or not, a whole bunch of people still don't know who the fuck she is. They're like, I've heard her name. Her name is everywhere, but I'm not exactly sure. This would have been that moment because it's Olympic sports moments that bring casual sports fans around TVs. It would have been huge. And because, again, I say some old person at the top of women's basketball in Colorado Springs at Olympic headquarters is threatened by losing control. When the sport explodes, she's suddenly, well, maybe they're going to want somebody newer, somebody younger. Maybe some friend of Caitlin Clark will be the new head of Olympic basketball because that's the kind of power this young lady has. However, it doesn't seem like she uses it. It seems like she's pretty cool being a rookie and just taking it as it comes. But we, the American people, were deprived of this. And the sport of women's basketball. More people would have watched women's basketball for the very first time if Caitlin Clark was out there this summer than would ever even imagine they would be interested. No, but come on. I'm gonna watch these games, or I would watch these games. All right, so now let's fast forward now a little bit more. because we've got person, I promise you, the head of women's basketball for Team USA. I don't know what her contract situation is. I think that's the next story. I think that person will be stepping down. I think that person will be relieved of their duties for some reason, but there is no reasonable explanation for leaving off the most important person. I'm not even going to say best player. I'm going to say the most important person your sport has ever seen. This is a missed opportunity. So I think that person's going to be gone. Here's why I think that person's going to be gone. Because here's someone who hadn't said anything about this. NBC, who has been taking on water. They bought the Olympics like 20 years ago, and they've got this long-term locked-up Olympic deal. Wait. Is it NBC? I want to make sure it's NBC because, I'm talking about this. Let's see here. I'm pretty sure it is still NBC. Because now I'm thinking, like, did TBS get involved with the Olympics recently? Who owns broadcast rights to the Olympics? My point is this: whoever it is, whoever is spending all of that, all right, let's just go with NBC. How did NBC get the rights to the Olympics? Okay, but I know they've had it for NBC Olympic broadcast. NBC has held the American broadcast rights to the Summer Olympic Games since the 1988 Games, and the rights to the Winter Olympics since 2022. Okay, so here's the point. NBC, who spent a whole lot of money for Olympic shit, has seen the Olympics get crapped on the last couple of, they've lost money year after year. They haven't lived up. The Olympic coverage, Olympic audiences, Olympic hype, Olympic fun hasn't translated into a good business decision for NBC. You think NBC is going to let them leave Caitlin Clark off? Hell no. That's why I think that this person who's in charge of women's basketball is probably going to be fired, or she'll step down. We'll see. I'm calling her a she. I'm guessing it's a she. It's women's basketball. I'm saying that. She's probably going to step down. We'll wait a couple of weeks. We'll see it. Maybe they'll wait even a month or so just before the start of the Olympics. Caitlin Clark will be on the team. NBC will absolutely demand it. There's no reason. Oh, but now you're going to let somebody who earned their spot not get to earn their spot. Are you fucking kidding me? We're talking about a girl who let off SportsCenter every night for a couple of years while she was earning this by becoming basketball's all-time leading collegiate scholar. Don't tell me about earning a spot. Caitlin fucking Collins earned the spot. She's being deprived the spot. All right. Adam says, Caitlin Clark, I keep calling her Caitlin Collins. It's unfortunate that CNN's anchor has a similar name. Adam says, Caitlin Clark is good with it. So can we just move on? Oh. Okay, producer Adam. Sure, no worries. Sorry, I just expelled that nice little current events rant. Adam would like me to move on. Stop it, man. Come on. What is that? Why you got to be like that? Why are you and I fighting today, Adam? I love you. You know what it is? I'm going to say it's because of his shoulder. It's because of he's on painkillers. That's what I'm going to say. This show, whatever, Adam, say what you want. In my mind, you are now under the influence of painkillers. And you're saying things that are, I was going to say uncharacteristically irritating. But no. You're characteristically irritating. That's kind of our whole give and take. That's what we appreciate about each other. I trigger you, you trigger me. But Adam's doped up on pills and he's being unnecessarily combative, I think. All right, let's keep going. What do we have here? Oh, you know what? Yeah, here we go. Why not? Let's give the lady her due, man. I'm telling you. I have become a big Caitlin Collins fan in the last couple of weeks. I think she's a cool chick. I think that she's got a great attitude about all of this shit, you know. She's not a prima donna. She's not, demanding anything. She's just trying to fit in on a team. Here she is. This is Caitlin Clark talking about being left off the Olympic team and a couple of other things. This is from a shoot around with her team, the Indianapolis Fever. Look at me knowing WNBA teams. Here we go. Classy chick right here.
Caitlin, what was your reaction when you saw the USA team yesterday, the roster come out?
Yeah, I think I'm excited for the girls that are on the team. I know it's the most competitive team in the world, and I know it could have gone either way of me being on the team, me not being on the team. So, I'm excited for them. I'm going to be rooting them on to win gold. I was a kid that grew up watching the Olympics, so it'll be fun to watch them.
What was your level of disappointment not hearing your name on the roster?
Honestly, no disappointment. Like, I think it just gives you something to work for. That's a dream. Hopefully one day I can be there, and I think it's just a little more motivation. You remember that, and hopefully in 4 years, when 4 years comes back around, I can be there.
Did you have a direct conversation with managing director or whomever's over there at USAB recently?
Yeah, they called me and let me know, and before everything came out, which was really respectful of them, and I appreciated that. And they did the same for every girl that made the team or every girl that didn't make the team. There's a lot of players in the Olympic pool, so it wasn't like I was the only one they had to call. They had to make quite a few calls.
All right, there you go. Tell you what's most impressive about that to me at the very end, when they asked her if they had called her directly, she immediately deflected to, yeah, but it's not just me. They called other people too. I'm like, there's other people who are heartbroken right now. She's a cool woman, man. She seems to be handling this really well. And when I say handling this, what am I talking about? I'm talking about all the assholes out there. She has taken a lot of shit from a whole bunch of dumb meathead misogynists about. She now represents women's basketball, whether she ever wanted that or not. That's what she's out there carrying on her back. And she's a rookie, and she's adapting to a new life and a new way of doing things. And to be able to hold and handle yourself like that in front of the media, who only wants you to trip up, they only want her to say something that she regrets. That was classy. That was classy. That was dignified. Good for her. Humble. But don't kid yourself. She's seething inside. But that's how you play it publicly. She's good. She's good. And again, to go back to Adam, and he's like, can we all just move on? Yeah, tell that to fucking NBC, dude. There's an advertising department at 30 Rock today that is fucking going nuts trying to figure out how to turn this sinking ship around. Can we all just move on? Okay, Adam's bored. That really bothers me. I always hated that. I always hated that when people are like, okay, I'm done with this topic. You guys should change subjects. Okay, shut the fuck up. You know what you should do? You should change stations. You should go somewhere else. Fuck. Okay, I personally have had enough of this. I don't know. I'm moving on. Jesus Christ. Self-centered much? Shut up. Moving on. Let's see. What else do we have here? Let's talk about some other things. I'm feeling salty today. I don't know. I'm feeling salty. I don't even have the excuse of being all gooped up on GAP like Doper Adam. Adam's all doped up on painkillers. Billionaire rapist. How about this story? I like this. Whenever we can get one of these guys. So there's this dude. This is how many billionaires are in the world. You've never heard of this guy. I don't know who this guy is. Just a billionaire. Just some old, 91 years old. 91-year-old billionaire living up there in Canada. By the way, this dude is a piece of work. So apparently he was born in like Hungary or some jacked up Eastern European country, some Borat type country. He was born there, comes over to Canada, and that was always interesting to me. You hear about this a lot. Like people, like they left Europe. They didn't all come to America. Like a whole bunch of them chose Canada. I'd like to know why. I'd like to know what was your thought process there? What made you, when you looked at, okay, so you're in like Slovakia or whatever, and you can come to America, you can land in New York, or you can land in Montreal. Like, why did they? I don't know. I wonder what I would have chosen. I don't know. Anyway, moving on. So he's 91 years old. He grows up in Canada after emigrating from some godforsaken Eastern European hellhole. He comes over here and he starts an auto parts store. And he grows the again, he's 91. He grows the auto parts store into like the single largest auto parts manufacturing something in all of Canada. Becomes a billionaire. Becomes a billionaire, probably like first time they made the billionaire list. He was like, oh, there he is. But he's been extremely wealthy for a lot of years. And guess what he's been doing? He's been partying and raping. He's been partying and raping. And this guy's 91 years old. So here's the crazy thing. This dude was in prime partying and date raping condition, like back in the 60s and 70s when these dudes got away with everything. He was like 1960s and 70s raping billionaire guy, taking advantage, no means yes. Oh my God. A 91-year-old billionaire was arrested on Friday for sexual assault charges that span multiple decades. Frank Stronach, who once oversaw a sprawling auto parts empire, was charged with 5 criminal offenses, including rape, sexual assault, indecent assault on a female, and forcible confinement. Yeah, he used to like kidnap them. He'd be like women that he. So one of the stories is like there was a chick that worked for him, and she was hot, and so he just invited her over to his house because he's the boss, and he got her drunk, and then he like locked her up in a room and had sex with her for like a while, and then apparently he like gave her money because it was 1974, and she was like, okay, and he's like, don't say anything now. Jesus, holy shit. The Peel Regional Police revealed that the alleged sexual assaults lasted from the 1980s into 2023. The Austria. All right, I said some Eastern Europe, whatever. Austria is still pretty bad. They gave us Hitler. I rest my case. The Austrian-Canadian businessman was arrested in the posh Toronto suburb of Aurora before being released on condition. According to a police statement, Stronach will appear at the Interior Code, blah, 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 blah. Oh, you want to see what he looks like with his wife? Is that his wife? His wife is one of his wives, probably. I imagine he's got a lot of ex-wives, this guy. Apparently one of his ex-wives is a Miss Vienna. So you know it was love. You know it was real love when these two kids got together. Hold on, let's see. Yeah, there he is. All right. So this is one of his wives, Miss Vienna. He was like 80 and she was like 25. Definitely love. She's probably an innocent victim. She just hooked up with like an 80-year-old dude. Sure. All right, there we go. All right, we're back. Hopefully we're back. Sorry about that. That was my fault. I screwed up. I get so excited when I talk about a billionaire 91-year-old Canadian rapist with like a young wife. Anyway, he's whatever. He's up there. Crazy story. You look it up for yourself, right? I don't need to tell you how to break down. I just pointed out that this story's going on. He's a creepy old rapist guy. If you need the details, you can find them yourself. Rashee Rice is speaking. Rashee Rice, remember Rashee Rice? He is the SMU receiver drafted in the second round. I think the second round by the Kansas City Chiefs. A couple of weeks back, months now at this point, he went racing on 75 Central Expressway, just a couple of blocks that way, literally a couple of blocks that way, because he had the accident right there at SMU Boulevard, which is right here, literally right here. So anyway, he went racing. He was in his Lamborghini, and then some other dude, somebody of his, was in his Corvette. And so both vehicles were his, and he was racing them. And they ran into a bunch of people, and a big accident happened. And his first response wasn't to make sure that everybody was okay and that there were no innocent victims and stand around and take responsibility and be a grown, mature adult. No, he ran. He ran with his boys, said nothing, left the scene, left his cars, and disappeared for a while until he lawyered up. He hasn't said anything. Like we haven't really heard from Rashee Rice through attorneys and stuff like that, official statements, but we haven't really seen him and we haven't really heard from him until now, ladies and gentlemen. That's why Rashee Rice is actually talking. So here I got some video. This is from was this last week? This might have been at Chiefs OTAs last week. Or no, wait, we're not in OTAs. Didn't we just come out of minicamp? Yeah, not OTAs, minicamp. All right, let's check this out. Here's Rashee Rice. He is that's right. I'm sorry. This is at one of his camps. Like apparently, these guys have kids camps. So I guess all right. All right, here we go. All right, let's see this. Boom, this is Rashee Rice being interviewed at a kids camp.
How's everything going?
Great. Glad to be back out here.
Being with the kids, what's that like? Doing some drills, playing with them?
Yeah, I mean, it's great to be able to come out here and have an impact in the community, especially since, it's not too, our memory's not too short, so we kind of remember exactly, how it feels to be out here and how it feels to, want to reach your goal of being in the NFL.
I know for you, obviously, it's been an off-season. You don't have to tell me, but just what have you learned from this school?
All right, so the question was, I know it's been a difficult off season. What have you learned from all of this?
The last few months,
just honestly, taking life day by day and being, grateful for every day. Nothing, possible without the grace of God. So.
God, very smart of him to present himself as a man of God. That means that there are people out there who absolutely hated him. They now heard him say that, and they're like, oh, well, I forgive him. He's a man of God who barreled his 2 sports cars into innocent people on 75 at SMU Boulevard and then walked away from the wreckage and carnage he himself created. He's a man of God. Just wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
We're just out here trying to share the love and, be blessed for every opportunity we get.
Rashee, you feel like you've learned from the off-season thing?
Yeah, of course. I've learned so much from that. All I could do was, mature and continue to grow from that. And this is, a step in, a better direction for me.
What can you do from this point forward?
Just to continue to be involved and be blessed and for the opportunity that we have.
I mean, nobody ever wants to look back, wants to look forward. How important has this been for you to look forward, going forward in your journey?
It's been very important just because, accidents and stuff like that happen. But, all you can do.
Accidents happen. All you can do is, that's not taking responsibility. He's not taking responsibility. Accidents happen is not taking responsibility for what you did. And what you did was terrible. And we are all lucky. And there's a lot of people, especially Chiefs fans, who would like us all to just be like, oh, it's no big deal. And that's an option in this particular case, simply because nobody died. Somebody very easily could have died. Just ask Henry Ruggs. So we're all just going to move on. Accidents happen, he says. And all I can do, let's keep listening to this guy. I hate this kid. I absolutely hate this kid. This is bullshit. This is an act. We know who he really is. And who he really is, who any of us really are who we are in the moments when we are tested. When the construct of our civilized world breaks down and the rules no longer seem to apply. Who we are in those moments, like during our house being on fire, or like the aftermath of a car accident, or like when somebody opens fire at a mall and we've got to run to say, whatever it is, we get tested. And who we are in those moments, who we are instinctively, is who we really are. We know who he is. He's a guy whose first thought was, fuck those people that might be dead, because it was a very violent crash at a high rate of speed. It is shocking that everybody was okay. But who this guy is in the aftermath of that, he's like, all right, what were we told? Everybody get out of the passenger side door so that anybody who happens to be filming isn't going to be able to say that person was behind the wheel. Okay, so we did that check. Get all of our bags or whatever might be in the car. We take that with us because we don't want to leave any of that behind. Check. And then just walk away. Don't make any contact with any of your victims. Just walk away and exit the scene. Those are the things he was told. And when rubber hit the road, when life got real, when the construct broke down, that's who this son of a bitch was. Now, should that damn him to hell forever? No. When we get right down to it, he's a kid. He's a dumb kid. So he's going to have to work extra hard in this maturation process, as Rashee Rice just talked about. Just got to continue to mature. Yeah, no, you do. But here's what you need to do. You need to put the fucking gas down on the mature thing. You need to accelerate the maturity thing, because that was fucked up, kid. He should be suspended for an entire year. He should lose an entire year of his career, and then he should be welcomed back. And he should be given another chance, because, as I say, he's a kid. But holy shit, this attitude of, accidents happen. And again, we only make those excuses. We only make those excuses for him now because nobody died. That's the only reason nobody died. There were no real serious injuries, but that's just luck, because we all saw it. That could have been incredibly, incredibly bad. And thankfully it wasn't. And that's why he's able to now go to a kids camp and say shit like, accidents happen.
That happened, but all you can
Going forward in your journey,
it's been very important, just because accidents and stuff like that happen, but all you can do is kind of move forward and walk around being the same person and try to be positive so that everybody can feel your love and your great energy.
Accidents are going to happen. Okay. Wasn't my responsibility. I wasn't the one racing the other guy in my car. They're going to happen. Accidents are going to happen. All you can do is move on, because he's done dealing with it, because now comes the, repercussions part where he's got to deal with what he's done. And he doesn't want that. He just wants to move on. And wait, what else did he say here? Because this is some fucked up shit. This kid is not nearly intellectually mature or emotionally mature enough to be making these kinds of statements and sell it. He is not selling this bullshit. This is all stuff that's been practiced, lines that he's been rehearsing. He knew that these questions were coming, and he's got people in his world who preps him up for that shit. This is what that is. And he ain't good enough to sell it. He ain't selling me remotely.
Be positive so that everybody can feel.
Are we seeing any contrition? Like, you know what? That was here. Let me show you what Rashee Rice, how he should have handled this. Okay. You want to see how he handles it? This is how you should have handled it. What have you learned from all this? Is the question. Boy, I've learned that I've got a lot of growing up to do, and I've learned that I've been blessed with an opportunity that not a lot of people are, and I've worked very hard in my life for this opportunity, and because maybe I'm just an immature kid who needs to grow up, I made some choices. Now, it is my hope that I will dedicate myself, as I have these past few months, to trying to become a better person. I'm attempting to make amends to those that I've affected with my behavior. But I am right now hoping that at some point we'll be able to put this behind me, and I will then be able to demonstrate that I've become the man that I think the Kansas City Chiefs organization expected when they drafted me. Thank you so much. Boom! That's all he's got to say. That's all he's got to fucking say. But he doesn't do that. He doesn't do that. It's accidents gonna happen. Contrition in the court of public opinion goes a long way. Those are the micro things, the things that we as human beings all pick up from one another. Those are the things that you say in these moments that make us go, okay, I'm going to give him a second chance. He chose not to do any of that shit. He just came straight out like an ass. Well, it's nothing.
Walk around being the same person and try to be positive so that everybody can feel your love and your great energy.
How have you been dealing with it mentally? Who have you been leaning on for support?
Honestly, my team, being back on the field, is knowing that the Kansas City community and the team, they got my back all the way.
Telling little kids, everybody makes mistakes. What advice would you give a little kid that said?
All right, what advice would you give a little kid? Saying everybody makes mistakes. What advice would you give a little kid?
You know what, I messed up and I want to move forward.
I wouldn't necessarily say, make mistakes, but in order to learn in life, you have to make some type of mistake.
That's actually not terrible. That's actually not terrible advice. You're going to make mistakes. The only way you learn in life is to make mistakes.
Yeah, great.
All right, well, there he is. He's a piece of garbage. He's not irredeemable. He can fix himself. He can become a better person. He's a young man. We don't give up hope on these young men. But yeah, that wasn't good. Rashee Rice, not good. Didn't sell me, my friend. Didn't sell me. Let's see. Oh, here's a terrible story. This happened last night in Wingstop in Irving. Do you like Wingstop? I saw this because I love the Wingstop. Not necessarily the one in Irving. Can't say as I've ever been. But, I do like a good Wingstop. There was a terrible, terrible shooting at a Wingstop yesterday. And this is a situation I mentioned because how did this happen? So there's a 19-year-old kid who manages a Wingstop. And it was coming towards the end of the night, and he started cutting people. And he cut someone who was working. And he's like, okay, you can go home. We don't need you guys anymore. Whatever, you can go. And this dude was like, no, I'm not going home. You're not cutting me. And the 19-year-old manager was like, dude, you're going home. Get out of here. The dude that he cut went out to his car, got a gun, came back into the Irving Wingstop and shot dead his 19-year-old manager who was just sending him home. I've had these kinds of jobs. We used to hope that they would send you home early. It was like, oh, please send me home early. Hey, you think we can go home early? Hey, if somebody goes home early, I'm going this time because you went last time. That's a very big thing. How was it that this dude was so angry about being sent home early that he went and killed a 19-year-old kid dead at a Wingstop, in a 19-year-old manager of a Wingstop, dead for sending an employee home early? Jesus. Yikes. George Lopez. You guys like George Lopez? I don't really know much about George Lopez. He's a comedian. I never watched the Lopez show. Can't say as I'm familiar with his comedy. I don't know what his comedy's like. I've seen him on TV shows. Seems like a nice enough dude. He looks wild now, though. Have you seen George Lopez now? Holy shit. He looks like Albert Einstein. He does. He kind of looks like Albert Einstein, except that he looks like a cross between Albert Einstein and Cornel West. That's it. I just fucking nailed George Lopez's look. George Lopez looks like a cross between Albert Einstein and Cornel West. So George Lopez, he goes and he does this big theater because that's the kind of shit George Lopez does. George Lopez ain't coming to the Yuckle Hut in Forney. George Lopez plays big theaters, big cities, or, as is the case here, casinos, big giant casino rooms. So he's playing some casino somewhere, probably some Indian casino, one of these places here in America. Flies out for the weekend, probably gets like $50,000 per show for like 3 shows because it's a casino. So he flies out, he does the show, he flies back home, $150,000 in his pocket. He's done what? An hour and a half of material over a 3-day weekend. Anyway, moving on. So that's what George Lopez does. He goes out, starts doing his comedy show, packed house. George Lopez is popular, packed house. George Lopez is doing his George Lopez thing. And apparently people started to, now it's being called heckling, saying he was getting heckled. And that George Lopez didn't react well to the heckling and stormed off stage and cut his act short. Some of these people driving miles and miles and miles just to see their favorite comedian, George Lopez, and he just storms off. To make things even weirder, this was a rescheduled show. This was a show that was originally scheduled for like a couple of months ago, but he had gotten sick, so he had to cancel. So this was a reschedule show from months before, people who were, waiting and waiting. And then he only does like 20 minutes and he storms off stage. Why? Heckling. Heckling is what it's being called. However, it's not heckling. I make a distinction between heckling and just overly enthusiastic fans who love you. George Lopez did not take well to people saying stuff like screaming out in the middle of his act, "We love you." Boy, that got him mad. Then another person said, "I want to buy you a drink." And that got him mad. It wasn't "you suck" or it wasn't this. However, he got irritated. And apparently he did a countdown. 1 strike. That's 2 strikes. 1 more strike and I believe, he did that thing. And then he left. He's being roundly criticized for having a short fuse and for, these people. That's why he's being criticized. He's being criticized because people are hearing what was being heckled. He claimed heckling. What was being heckled, and people are like, oh, yeah, because I hate it when people scream out that they love me. I mean, I understand. He's an artiste and he's trying to perform. And a lot of his jokes and the stories that he tells, they rely on mood and most importantly, timing. And maybe when you're telling this story, I mean, I understand this. I'm a storyteller to some degree. Sometimes when you're telling this story, you don't appreciate it when in the middle of it, when you've got maybe the pregnant pause for effect, somebody screams out, I love you, right? And then a bunch of other people go, woo, yeah, we do too. But meanwhile, to him on stage, he's like, fuck, now the rhythm's ruined. And so that irritates him. And that's what he got mad about. And that's why he stormed off. Here, we've got some audio of it. Let's watch it. Let's watch George Lopez piss off a big room of fans. Actually, let's watch George Lopez lose a bunch of fans because imagine I would be pissed off at this. Here we go. Hold on. Oh, this is going to be a TMZ video, so I apologize, but it's going to take a second here. How you guys doing today? We having fun? What's going on with oh my God, where's the other? Oh, hold on. TMZ gonna make me watch a commercial, huh? Okay, that's fine. I got other things that I can do while we're watching this commercial. Okay, once again, this is George Lopez storming off stage this weekend at some place in I don't know, let's see. Does it matter? I don't think it does. Oh, they're gonna make us watch the rest of this commercial for Toyota of Denton. That's fine. I don't care. I can watch a Toyota of Denton commercial. All right, here.
Catch up to us.
First of all, see what I mean? He looks like a cross between Albert Einstein and Cornel West. Now, the lighting is bad and the sound is weird too, but you'll at least get to see what happened here during George Lopez's act. Albert Einstein and Cornel West. I'm telling you, that's what he looks like.
Catch up to us. For anxiety, people can go to the doctor and write you a prescription.
Get a prescription.
That's one. You go to the doctor and they write you a prescription. That's two. Are we going to be able to let me do a show? Should I just cut it right now? I'm serious. I seem like an asshole. I'm the one working. So, listen, I'm fucking waiting to come back over here, man. Come on, please. Just fucking watch the show. That's all you have to do. Don't even fucking laugh if you don't want to. I don't give a fuck. Just relax, man. I'm fine. Be seriously. Come on, man. Let's go. Thanks.
There you have it. That's George Lopez walking off stage. People telling him they love him. They're ruining the vibe. He wants to, he's a performer. He's up there. Look, I see it from both sides. I can see how the people in the audience would be like, what the fuck, man? Because honestly, it was a very pro George Lopez crowd. They were loving on him and he just wasn't having it. He's trying to get into his art of storytelling or whatever. And, you heard the one girl go, I want to buy you a drink. And then he was like, ugh. Here's what's happening here. I've seen this a lot. I've been going to comedy clubs more than I have over the past few years, but this would be the post-pandemic experience of sitting and watching comedy done in a comedy club. They are way more raucous than they ever used to be. And look, a lot of you guys who remember the Pugs and Kelly show, you could find me most any weekend at the Improv. I was there every weekend. I had a table back there. We would hang out. We spent every Friday and Saturday night, especially if some of our comedy friends were in town. We held court at those tables and we lived there. So I've been to a lot. The scene back then certainly had hecklers. Hecklers have always existed. Nobody's saying they haven't. But it was more commonly just alcohol fueled back then. It was just people who got a little bit too drunk and maybe they're being too loud and, maybe or maybe it's just somebody who's, honestly just doesn't like the material and just wants to be a dick and doesn't. It was something that happened, but it happens a lot more now. And I think I know why. I think I know why people at live events that used to sit quietly and just appreciate what was happening now feel that. I think it's because of the social media generation. I think that it's because we are all, not us, but there's an entire new generation of young person out there who thinks that their every thought and that their every take needs to be at least publicized in some way. And they don't know how to fucking act at a comedy club. They sit there and they hear something in joke form from the person on stage that maybe they disagree with, and they think what? They're on Twitter or Instagram, and they're like, that's some bullshit. It's this entitlement that your voice needs to be heard that never used to exist in this country. But this generation, this new generation that has known nothing but being able to amplify their worst shit takes. That's what an entire generation has learned. I can have the worst shit take ever and it'll be amplified. People will hear it and I'll get attention for it. These people cannot behave themselves at comedy clubs, at lectures, at book readings, at whatever it is. Everybody's got to be heard now. Everybody thinks it's their right. First Amendment, you can't shut me up. Yeah, we can fucking shut you up. This is a performance space. There are rules. Society has rules. All right, so that's kind of a dick move on George Lopez's part. I think that he could have been a little bit more tolerant. I think he probably could have even worked with it. For him to absolutely throw a tantrum and then deprive these people who obviously love him, then deprive them of, seeing his act. That's some shitty fucking I'm a star diva bullshit. But there you have it. That's why George Lopez is trending today. That's what chat rooms are for. Barney knows. Come in a chat room and talk your shit. Just in public, shut up. You make noise. Stop making noise. When you're in the chat room or when you're in a Twitter fight or something, you're not making noise. It's just quiet. It's just, but when you're in real life, shut the fuck up. Nobody cares about you. You know what? You know who cares about your thoughts on the comedy set? The people you're with. And that's why when it's over, you guys should all go and have drinks and talk about what you just saw. But don't fucking do that while there's somebody on stage trying to create a vibe, who's trying to, disrespectful. It's not disrespectful. It's my right. I have free speech. Shut the fuck up. Ugh. All right, what else do we have here? Let's see. Other news. Oh, look at this. It's already 2:00. We're already across the 2-hour mark, and we're still going strong. Some NFL news. Darren Waller has retired from the NFL. Darren Waller had an interesting career. He's a wide receiver, I think out of Georgia Tech. Maybe it was Georgia. Whatever. I think he was out of Georgia Tech. Drafted, what year are we talking? Like 2005, 2004, somewhere back then. Drafted by the Ravens. And he was a wide receiver, and he was supposed to be a very interesting. It wasn't a high draft pick. He was like a 5th rounder. But I know all this stuff because his story has been pretty well publicized. Anyway, he played wide receiver. He didn't get on the field much, and then they switched him. Then John Harbaugh switched him to tight end, made him a tight end. He had real good success at tight end with the Baltimore Ravens under John Harbaugh, and then he started getting popped for drugs. Darren Waller got popped like a couple of times for drugs. I think it was cocaine and pain pills. Those were what he liked. Oh, by the way, also, here's a fun fact about Darren Waller, who just retired from the NFL yesterday after 13 seasons. Darren Waller is Fats Waller's great-great-grandson. That's pretty cool. Fats Waller, like one of the great icons of American jazz. That's pretty cool. All right, so Darren Waller, anyway, he has all these troubles with drugs, and he gets dumped from the Ravens. He gets suspended for an entire year, loses an entire year of his career, cleans himself up, and then gets a shot with the Oakland Raiders. So he's now clean for the first time, and he's with the Raiders. He's playing tight end, and he went off. Darren Waller was always a fun, one of these new style tight ends of the past 5 years. Sure, now we all look at like Kittle. We're like, oh, Kittle's great. Kelsey's great. But no, Darren Waller was another one of these interesting sort of multi-threat tight ends. Not so much the blocker, although he had the build for it, but he was a wide receiver at draft day. He was brought in as a wide receiver. So he was kind of a move tight end who could also, big body somebody in a 50-50 situation. Red zone, deadly in the red zone. I always liked Waller, and I liked his story. I like how he was able to stay clean. I think we mentioned his wife already. Isn't he married? Isn't Darren Waller married? Is Darren Waller married to Kelsey Plum of the WNBA? I think he is. We already talked about Kelsey Plum. Kelsey Plum is obviously on the she's like the Michael Jordan of basketball, right? Isn't that her deal? Isn't Kelsey Plum like the reigning, like, I know it's all Caitlin Clark, but before Caitlin Clark, the league did have a best player, and I think that was Kelsey Plum. Anyway, she's married to Darren Waller. Well, they're probably divorced. Who knows? Whatever. He seems difficult. Good player though. I always liked Darren Waller. Retired as a Giant. He was with the Giants. So there you have it. Anyway, made his bag. He's getting out, and now he's going to be a music producer. That's another interesting thing. He's sunk all of his money into like a music production studio and all of this stuff. And you would think, you'd be like, oh, this guy's going to go broke. He thinks he's a rapper. And then you're like, oh, wait, fuck. You mean his great-great-grandpa was one of the iconic jazz artists in American history? Yeah, maybe he does have something musical going on inside of him. Let's let Darren Waller now do the musical thing like his great-great-grandpa Fats Waller. All right, moving on. What else do we have here? Darren Waller, he's gone. This one, here's a sad one. This was one of the first guys that I remember from the NBA when I was just a very little kid, ladies and gentlemen. Dead over the weekend, Chet the Jet Walker. Chet Walker. I want to show you some Chet Walker. Chet Walker was a basketball player in the 1970s. He's a Hall of Famer. He's very good. But he died at, how old was he? Is he 84 years old? Basketball Hall of Famer, NBA legend, Chet the Jet Walker. Let's watch this guy, okay? This is some video. This is just the 1970s. Think about what we know NBA basketball is today. This is NBA basketball. I think this is from 1975. Now, the players on his team, I mean, look, I know all you got to do is take a look behind me. You know that I'm a Chicago Bulls fan. I'm in the tank for the Bulls. But my God, this Bulls team, this Bulls team right now, there are 3 guys on the floor with Chet Walker who are also in the Basketball Hall of Fame. This entire team is in the Hall of Fame. None of them like huge superstars, but you'll hear Jerry Sloan. He was one of his teammates, one of Chet Walker's teammates. You'll hear Bob Love, who's probably the best of all of them. Norm Van Leer. Anyway, watch this. This is old-timey 1970s basketball. The great Chet the Jet Walker. One of the fastest men, they say, in the history of the NBA, even by today's standards. Chet Walker. He passed away at the age of 84 here. Let's watch a little bit of old-timey NBA basketball from the 70s.
Walker gets inside and passes off to Chet. That time, he probably should have taken his shot. Walker comes up on Berry. Hey, knocked it in. Chicago. They don't belong over there. Now he gives it up. They come to Butter Love down in there. This floor is a foot wider on each side. May throw off the Chicago forwards. Turn around, Chet win this tournament. He is watching Van Leer now. Sloan wheels it over to Love on the left side. They drop it off to Bullwinkle. He's posted a little bit low on that.
You guys hearing Brent Musburger? That's like a young Brent Musburger calling this game. Also, isn't it distracting without the 3-point line? It's like, that court looks funny. And then you're like, oh, it's the 3-point line. It's like when somebody shaves their mustache and you're not entirely sure what's different.
Side, Chet Walker comes over against Berry. Brings it up and gives it off to Van Leer. Johnson watches him. Berry is out on Chet Walker. Berry did a tremendous defensive job on him on Sunday. Here is Bullwinkle trying to go backdoor forward play. Oh, goaltending, no doubt about it. Goaltending. They have pulled it within 9 points, and Tom Bullwinkle is going to check back in. Berry came out, couldn't steal. Walker with a shot. It's an 11-point Chicago.
All right. Chet the Jet Walker. He was one of the very first basketball players I ever heard of. He was the man back when I was very little. All right, he died over the week. 84 years old. I mean, he wasn't like rock climbing or anything. He was 84 years old, and that's what he died of. Chet the Jet Walker, Hall of Famer. Chicago Bull, Philadelphia 76er. He played bulk of his career with the Philadelphia. I think he played like 10 years with the 76ers and then got traded to the Bulls, and he played like 6 years with the Bulls too. Anyway, all right. So now let's do the other thing. Let's have the other basketball conversation. The Mavs, the Dallas Mavericks, they played a basketball game last night, and it was no better than the game they played a couple of nights ago. Hey, 105-98. 105-98 was the score. The Mavericks, at least this particular game, they kept it a little bit closer. We all had the illusion that we were in this game for a large part of it. Unlike the first game, the Celtics just came out and steamrolled. And then they, like a kitten with a ball of yarn, the Celtics in game one, they allowed the Mavs to get back in it. And then they just, they just went to that sixth gear in the fourth and they ran away with it. So that was game one. That was very disheartening. So the hope for this game is okay. We don't need to steal. It was so nice to steal one in Boston. That would be great. But we don't need that. It's still early, but let's try and steal one from Boston. So we go in there and what do we hear before? Who was it? Was it Cooperstein? Somebody tweeted that Luka was hurt and he probably wasn't going to play. Well, thankfully that turned out to be bullshit because Luka was out there. He did look hurt though. He did. When I say he did look hurt, I don't mean, yeah, he played like shit. He looked hurt. No, he played like fucking Luka and he looked hurt. His shots were still going in, but he was grimacing is my point. Like you could tell it was still working. I made a tweet last night that I thought it was the entire Boston Celtics game plan against the Dallas Mavericks from this point forward is going to be this. Just let Luka do his thing. Luka's going to do his thing. Hell, he might get 60. Maybe Luka gets 70. Who knows? Luka's going to do his thing. Let's not overcommit to Luka and then suddenly allow somebody else to kill us. Let's just let Luka be Luka. And let's shut down Kyrie. And then let's not miss threes. Because that's the other thing that could, honestly, guys, the only reason that game was close yesterday, the only reason the Mavs seemed to be pesky and stuck around the whole was because of an atrocious first half shooting from Boston. Boston was like 1 of 10 from threes in the first half, and Boston was still up by 5 at halftime. They were up by 5 at halftime, having missed 9 out of 10 3-point attempts. I mean, just think if half of those went in. I mean, they were cold, but they're also a good 3-point shooting team. So you wouldn't expect that to keep up. So let's just imagine that half of those. So let's say 5. That's 15 more points. We're at halftime of that game, and they're up by 20 instead of just being. I am very, very, very upset. Actually, that's not true. I'm not upset. I was yelling at the TV last night. But it's the same thing that I said. Boston is a good team. The Mavericks are a surprise team. How much fun have the Mavericks been? Mavericks have been amazing these past couple of months. What a winner it's been. Why? Because after November, when half of you people wanted Jason Kidd fired, Kyrie, all of these problems you people had back in November. You all look stupid now. You all look dumb. Anyway, they became one of the most engrossing teams in the NBA over the course of the last, 8 weeks of the season. They suddenly started playing defense. They started balling out, not just as a band full of prima donnas, which is what I think everybody thought this team was, soft prima donnas, to being a team that could actually bang on defense. You got Luka Doncic playing defense. So they were exciting and they were fun. And the Mavs ain't going anywhere. The Mavs are going to be around if they can keep this team together. Couple of tweaks. This team is great. This team is really good when they're playing at their best. Unfortunately, I think the Boston Celtics are the best team in the NBA, and I think the Boston Celtics are maybe just a little bit more experienced, maybe just a little bit more. They've been playing together as a team. They rely on each other as a team. Maybe they're just a little bit more comfortable with, what they got to do than maybe the Mavericks are. Because as I said, we're just 5 months removed from people talking about blow up the Mavericks. That's sports. Anyway, it's disheartening. So I'm going to say stuff that my Maverick fan friends don't want to hear. Hell, I'm a Mavericks fan. They're not my top team. They're my son's top team. My son's really bummed. So I'm going to say something the Mavericks fans probably don't want to hear, and that is you're going to lose this series. You're going to lose the series. At this point, you want to push it. You want it to go 6, right? 6 is... So, I mean, you want it to go 7 because you want to have that hope, but I'm telling you, you're going to lose the series. Okay, so series, just know that the series is done. You're going to lose the series. What do you want to do? You want to get shut out? You want to get routed in 4? let that fire burn them all through the summer into the off season, and then they come out with that flame of being torched in the finals. I don't know. I'd like a respectable showing. I'd like them to win maybe 2 games. Let's go 6. They're going to steal one. Maybe they'll steal. No, they're not going to steal one. They're probably not going to. How many we got here in Dallas now? We got the next 2, Wednesday and Friday. And it's not that I think that the Boston Celtics, this team, it's not that I think that this team is necessarily better talent-wise than the Mavs. It's that I just think they play together better as a team. They're a really smooth, exceptional team. And you know what I see when I look at the Mavs at this point of the season? Duct tape, crutches, bruises, and exhaustion. God damn, the Mavs are our heroes, but they're exhausted. They weren't expected to be here. This was not how this was supposed to go. The only thing that I would say is a nice little, maybe going to even that up just a little bit, is the degree to which Porzingis is injured. Because he definitely got injured in that game yesterday. There was something wrong with him. He stopped playing to the level that we had seen him play instantly after tweaking that right ankle. It looked like his ankle, he rolled up on it just a little bit. Now, at that point, there was only about 6 minutes left in the game, but he could barely move. He could barely get back on defense. All right, so we'll be back at it again on Wednesday. All hope is not lost. I'm not a genius. I'm not a genie. I don't know the future. I could be wrong. I'm just telling you what I feel. What I feel looking at this team now. I have had some gypsy-like qualities where I have been able to look at teams and go, I'm feeling the vibe, so maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but I could be wrong. And if you love this team, you shouldn't give up hope. Won't that be great? Wouldn't that be amazing? Let's watch the Mavs go rattle off 4 in a row, huh? That's what sports is about, because they could. I mean, they won't. They're not gonna, but they could. And that's what we have to hold on to as sports fans. Because they could, but they won't. But they could, but they won't. All right. Why didn't Porzingis play like this with Dallas? System. That's all. Just system. But, people, it's weird. It is weird, isn't it? As a Chicago sports fan, our big joke is that, what we do is that we have players that play for us and then they suck with us and then we trade them away for a bag of beans and they go and become MVPs elsewhere. So I've seen that before. And you always ask that question. Why did he play that way with that? Well, because we suck. That's why. Because we suck. That's me thinking about my Chicago teams of my youth. Carlisle was crap with Luka and Porzingis as coach. Why didn't Porzingis play like this with Dallas? How drawn out are they making the NBA playoffs? Should be a game every other day. I agree with you, Jeff. I thought the game was Saturday night. I was all excited. We were out on the lake on Saturday, and we were like making our plans for that night. And I'm like, well, Mavs game's what, like 8 o'clock? It's like 8 o'clock tonight. And like, then 2 people on the boat were like, yeah, 8 o'clock. And so I'm like, oh, cool, games. And then somebody goes, there's no Mavericks game tonight. And I go, what? I'm like, why not? What are you talking about? Why are these games so spread out? Hype. Because the more you hype in between, the more you're able to charge for commercials, because there's more opportunity for people to be told that this is going to be a thing. That's not a joke. That's why that's done. Hype the event. Get people buzzing. That's how you justify higher rates of advertising. Oh, everybody's talking about it. They could play these games every other day, but you wouldn't be able to hype them, and you wouldn't be able to muster that enthusiasm, that chatter, that national buzz. You need your Stephen A. Smiths, at 6 o'clock in the morning or whenever the hell he's on. You need him screaming about it for, a whole long period of time for people to go, oh, that's something I can't miss. I still can't believe the Olympic, the women's Olympic thing. That is just on principle. Just on principle, that drives me nuts. The missed opportunity that somebody looked at it and went, yeah, that's not a big deal. I'm the chairman of women's basketball. I'm choosing this team. First of all, if it comes down to being a coach, like, whose decision was this? We haven't heard that name yet. We need to hear the name of the person who decided that Caitlin Clark was not going to be on the Olympic team. We need to find that person's name. And if it's the coach, that coach needs to be fired immediately because come on, man. Adam says, except for this Friday, every game is on a weekday so they can have the news cycle for that day. Yeah, he's exactly right. That is exactly right. And then you want games on Sunday nights because Sunday nights is the number one, well, traditionally it is the number one night for televisions in America. More people tune in to watch something on Sunday nights than on any other day. So that's why you have the big Sunday night games. That's why it used to be, I don't know if it's still this way, but it used to be like the Academy Awards were on Sundays or whatever. Doesn't matter. Big miniseries would debut on a Sunday night. Celtics beat the Mavs 105-98, take a 2-0 game lead in the series. But I'm still going to be rooting for them. I'm still going to be. Tatum's good. That's the, I don't know why. Is it because he's not in every other commercial? Is it because he's not as maybe high profile as some others? Tatum is good. I mean, I know he's good. I know he's a superstar and all that kind of stuff, but he's not like the name wreck, like my mom, my mom has probably heard of Luka Doncic. She's probably heard of, I don't know. It doesn't matter. What am I trying to do? She hasn't heard of Tatum is my point. She probably hasn't heard of him. Porzingis. Yeah, he's hurt. So that'll be, I hate to, ever find something good in somebody else's bad situation. But if Porzingis is hobbled, that's going to at least even it. Because remember, we're worried that Luka's hobbled. We're like, oh, geez, Luka's got some problems. But hey, Luka's still just crushing. He's so good. He's a dick. Don't get me wrong. That's the other thing. Luka's a baby. He's not, unless you're a diehard Mavericks fan who just loves this team. Mavericks, yeah. I mean, he's your guy. He's your guy and you love him. Everybody else who's not a diehard Mavericks fan, they're like, that dude's good, but he seems like an ass. A bit of a crybaby. That's his national reputation. I'm sorry if that hurts you, Mavericks fans. It's just true. Here's something else you're not going to want to know. Everybody in the country hates the Cowboys. There you go. What do you mean? They're America's team. No, fuck you. Every bar in America during a Sunday afternoon, you drop me in a bar in Poughkeepsie, New York. Drop me in a bar in Poughkeepsie, New York on an NFL Sunday. And that bar might be packed with people watching NFL games. And here's what I promise you. In that bar, there will be at least one dude in a Cowboy jersey. And everyone else in that bar will think that guy's a D-bag. That's just how it is. Just how it is. Cowboy fans are everywhere. And they're outnumbered everywhere they are. And everybody thinks they're D-bags. Same is true for Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic is kind of seen as a jerk, as kind of a crybaby. Undeniably one of the greatest players I've ever seen. Both things can be true at once. But he's not popular. He's not likable. There is no likability with Luka Doncic, unless you're like a crazy Dallas fan who doesn't see or isn't bothered by, the antics. And it's also with Luka, it's not that he's a jerk. Like, he's not like Ja Morant. I hate Ja Morant just because he's obviously a dickhead. He's obviously an asshole. Luka's just a baby. He seems like a baby. It's just an unappealing character trait. But that's okay. He wants to put up 45. What's going on? Why don't you come up here? Come here. I don't know. She's doing weird stuff. She's like rolling around on the carpet. Now she's chewing her butt again. Come here, baby. Let's go. She's ignoring me. She's just chewing her ass. All right, we're going to end the show. We got to take her out for a while. Oh, come here. Come here. Oh, now she's... Let's go. Boy, you really got an itchy ass today, huh? What do we got to do? We got to put some powder on you? I don't even know if that's a thing. She's like scooting her butt on the carpet. What does that mean? That means something. I need to look that up. Come here, baby. Come here. You done scooching? No, she's not. Look at her. What is going on with you and your butt? Oh, God, that's gross. She's just like nibbling at it. She's got the itchies. I got to take her for a walk. I don't know what this means. All right, you guys are the best. We'll see you tomorrow. Okay, back for more at 12 p.m. high noon. Once again, I want to thank today's executive producer. We do have an executive producer. The executive producer every day is the person who tipped the biggest on the previous day's show. Today, that honor went to Christina P. Thank you so much. Anybody wants to drop a little something in, you can take advantage of that now. Dog, come here. Come on. Let's go. Come on. Just ignoring me. Just completely ignoring me. She is 3 feet away from me. She can hear me going, come on. Come here. Come on. Oh, now. Come here. Come here. Say hi to everybody. Yeah. Come on up. Come on. Here she comes. There she is. All right. How you doing with your butt? You going to show everybody your butt, your itchy butt? You ready to go out for a walk? You ready? Okay, we're going out for a walk. All right, bye, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow at noon. Go Mavs.